Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sport. For today's guide on how to watch the 2020-2023 United Rugby Championship season, which kicks off this weekend. And as we all know, URC equals best league. And after a very up and down season in the inaugural season with a huge bang towards the end, I think it's safe to say that there is definitely a lot more hype and justified hype ahead of the second installment of what is fast becoming a very popular competition. And we saw that last year. It took a while for it to get going, and I think that there was some weird traveling. There were obviously international players who weren't really involved in the early rounds. But by the time we got towards the end of the competition, it really did heat up, and I think that the playoffs did deliver some sensational rugby, and obviously massive for two South African teams to be competing in the final, and the Stormers, who were definitely not anywhere near favourites of the competition, winning the trophy. So I think it added a lot of hype to the competition. I think the fact that we've got the Challenge Cup and the Champions Cup as well means there's a lot of incentive to watch the URC. But the big question is, how can I watch the URC? And what was very cool about last season is that there were a lot of different broadcasters. And within that, there were free-to-air broadcasts, which means that there were potentially games you could potentially watch for free depending on where you were in the world. Now, the broadcast situation hasn't really changed. So what we're going to be doing is, on a week-to-week basis, we will be doing a video on how to watch certain games, which games will be on free-to-air broadcast, how to watch SA games, how you can watch some of your favorite teams, stuff like that. But in terms of how to watch the season ahead, it all comes down to where you are. Or does it? Because if you use a VPN, which is a virtual private network, it basically can geolocate and make it seem as if your computer or your device is in a different location, which means you get access to different broadcasters. And that's how you can be sitting in South Africa watching a match for free on S4C in Ireland, or the BBC, for example, or TG4 or DAZN, and all these various different broadcasts where you can find cheaper options as well as free options to watch the rugby throughout the entire competition. So what you're going to do is you're going to download ExpressVPN, and when you install, it's going to come like this. And what you're going to do is all you do is you basically just click on the three little dots over there, and it'll pull up all the various locations. So you can connect to United Kingdom, England, Ireland, all around the world. And that will give you access to the various different broadcasts. In terms of the broadcasters for this competition, these are the broadcast partners. So as you can see, in the United Kingdom, it's Premier Sports, S4C, it's BBC, it's iSport, there's Sport TG4, in South Africa, it's Supersport, in Italy, it's DAZN, America, ESPN, haven't confirmed Australia, I think it was Premier Sports last time, DAZN as well in Austria, Canada, Germany, New Zealand, the Sky, but there's also something called URC TV. So, for example, if you look at, if you go to the website, which is URC TV, you can look at individual matches and you can buy individual matches. So, for example, this is, if you want to watch the Lions versus the Bulls, you can watch just that match for $10, depending on where you are. Now, if you're in South Africa, you have to try and find a different location that is not included in one of these. Basically, URC TV works in any of the non-selected countries. So, for example, if you were to connect to an Argentinian server, for example, you should be able to access URC TV. I think that people could even access URC TV last year from America as well. And last year, you could get a season pass. We haven't seen just yet if that's going to be reintroduced. I think it will be. I think it did auto-renew for certain people. But basically, what you can do is if you go to the URC website, and then you go to live, and you can choose whatever game you want, and it'll show you exactly where to watch. So, for example, if we're looking at this weekend, we've got Ulster versus Connacht. So we've got an Irish derby, and so it's saying it's not being shown on URC TV. However, look where it is being shown. So it's being shown on BBC Wales, and it's being shown S4C, and it's being shown on BBC Northern Ireland. Now that means that, for example, this particular game, Ulster Connacht, you can go and you can connect a VPN to an Irish server, and you can watch S4C or whatever channel you want to watch, and you'll be able to watch it for free. So that is why I recommend getting ExpressVPN. As I said, on a week-to-week basis, we will do videos on how you can watch the various games. It is quite expensive to watch sort of every individual game, but also you can look at the various broadcasts with different prices. For example, I think Supersport and Sky New Zealand are one of the more expensive options. I think DAZN is a cheaper option, for example, in terms of a monthly subscription. You can look at Premier Sports. There are different options. You can look at ESPN. There are different options you can look at get yourself a subscription for the season. because, and then you don't have to worry about bootleg streams or illegal streams, stuff like that, which do get taken down, which can often give your PC all these various viruses and stuff like that. By using a VPN, you can watch all these games on official broadcasts, which means you're not going to have to worry about buffering. You're not going to have to worry about being taken down. And that's how you can do it. Let me know if you have any comments down below. As I get yourself ExpressVPN, we're going to do videos on how to watch the Gallagher Premiership, Top 14, the Challenge Cup, the Champions Cup, all those things when we do start playing. So get yourself VPN. There's a special offer for Sports members. So use the link down in the description below. And yeah, please do smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven. I'll chat to you soon.
Hello and welcome to the Forever Sports Rugby Fan Forum, hosted every Thursday. You are here with Reza, Rion, Chris, and Wesley Hartman, who is our special guest for today. Welcome, boys, and welcome back to another edition. Good to have you here.
Good to be here, Reza.
Yeah.
How's it?
Yeah, look, not too bad. Looking forward to the return of the URC. Looking forward to some more rugby. I mean, we were just talking off stream about just how much has been going on, and we have a packed agenda for everyone today, a bit of Currie Cup, a bit of URC. Of course, we'll touch on the Six Nations, which is the big talking point for today, and some interesting transfer news and appointments within the world of rugby, which I'm really excited to get into. To start us off, though, today, gents, I've got the great honor of having a friend on the stream, in Wesley Hartman, who is, I'll tell you what, I'll let you introduce yourself, Wes. Tell us about your journey in rugby and how you got here, and let's go from there.
Yeah, thanks, Reese. Yeah, and how's it, everyone? Great to be on here. So, I mean, yeah, I went to school with Reese. I played high school rugby for Crawford. Sort of almost cracked into a couple of the provincial sides. Got through to a couple of the final rounds. But yes, it's really tough to sort of get that final nod. But didn't let that deter. So played all the way through to matric, and then had the opportunity to go and study in the US, which was phenomenal, and end up playing some serious rugby over that side. So I went across, when was it, 2012? So this was pre-MLR. So actually sort of, at the end of my time there, that was just sort of coming about, and we'll get into that a bit later. But ended up playing for a university called Kutztown University, sort of quite a well-known university in terms of rugby, but otherwise quite small in itself and kind of arbitrary spot in Pennsylvania, but really a lovely, lovely spot. And it just, gave me an amazing opportunity to play rugby abroad and also travel the States. Because the university was quite good at rugby, we had to travel quite far to play opponents, that we weren't able to sort of just stick around in our area. So we got to travel up and down the East Coast quite extensively. We did venture sort of central US a couple of times. That was quite rough, a 17-hour bus ride to Arkansas to get our butts thoroughly kicked. And the 17 hours felt longer on the way back. I don't know how, but funny how times works like that. And then a couple of times we went across the East Coast, which was just such a different experience. And it's really amazing there to see the culture in US rugby. So East Coast, you've got sort of very traditional kind of 15s mindset, maybe even a bit like European in a sense. And then you go out to the West Coast, and because you've got the Islander influence, you've got the Samoans, you've got the Fijians, you've got the Hawaiians, the Tongans, sort of in greater numbers on the West Coast there. That sort of flair of rugby just sort of, does really well there. It was fantastic to see. And then eventually got selected for the All-American side, which is like the US equivalent of the junior box. So we toured with them down to Oz for 3 weeks, got the privilege of actually co-captaining that side, which was fantastic. And then came back to the US and had the opportunity to potentially sign a professional contract.
Nice. So did you ever get to race Carlin Isle?
No, so no, absolutely not. I was not super quick, but not super slow. But there was a guy, Danny Barrett, who played on the USA 7 side. He was their sort of big strong man, like our Frankie Horn kind of guy. I was maybe on pace with him. He wasn't slow. I was on pace with him, but you check him against Carlin and he's just in the dust. So I use that as my marker.
Fantastic.
Few people would mention, yeah.
Look, I think you had to ask the question there, Rian. So I'd just like to start off with that fantastic brief introduction there from Wesley. We've got two very cool clips of Wesley, which our editor will put on now, just showcasing a little bit of what he used to be able to do. I don't know if he can still do it, but I back him. Let's have a look.
They got to be patient. Good job, Wesley. First one there. Look at him carrying Zach Bonte down the field.
Bonte, the workhorse for the Bruins, taken for a ride, a good 5 meters, and Kutztown now in control.
Get wide, in and out.
Triggering the offense for Kutztown. It was 12-0 Dartmouth. And Kutztown has answered back, staying on her feet. It's all about the desire.
That's why Wesley Hartman's the captain of this team. He wills himself out of 3 tackles on the way to the go-ahead score for Kutztown, the senior from Johannesburg, South Africa. He's a great kid, Wesley Hartman. Talked yesterday about his battle with type 1 diabetes. He's insulin dependent, wants to be an example for all kids out there with type 1 diabetes. Say, look what I just did to Dartmouth. You can too.
Oh, very cool clip there coming through, and I would love to see it. So just to get a bit onto your personal story there, Wes, so we want to have a little bit of a chat about the level of rugby in the US, and obviously it was a little bit of time ago when you were there. But in your opinion, would you say how far behind is the US in terms of their international game and their perhaps grassroots sort of rugby?
Yeah, okay, so let's break that down, those 2 parts there. If we go international first, and we need to split that further, I guess, as well. You've got the 15s and the 7s, right? We all know that on any given day, on their day, the US 7 side can compete, does compete, and does beat world-class teams. So I think it's just about consistency now. I think the 7 side has amazing athletes and there's a really good sort of program, sort of identification program there. If you want to argue which country has the best athletes in the world, I'll just point to the USA Olympic medal tally. There's no doubting that they've got incredible sort of athletes. It just comes down to Yeah, exactly. It just comes down to sort of getting them in that rugby mindset. So the difference is that when you're playing against sides where rugby's embedded in the culture, you've got guys who see the game, so much differently. So the 7 side, I think, is not that far behind. I think we'd actually say they're probably on par, generally, with a lot of the top performing sides. Again, consistency, is a big thing. Looking at the 15s, though, that's where the problems come in, because despite the athletes I've just spoken about, despite quite a bit of money that I think they have access to, they just seem to not be able to kind of get any momentum and build on that. I've had a couple of close friends in the system play for the Eagles. I was fortunate enough to actually watch him. Niku, he's a South African who played for the US, and he played against the Boks in the the 2016 World Cup in England. So that was phenomenal to see. So having conversations with him, and I think like everything comes down to really nasty politics. Guys with not necessarily agendas, but ways of doing things. And so you have this discontinuity where you don't allow for anything to build. So I think if they could just get in a solid coach, I think, is it still Gary Gold? Is he still their head coach? I could be mistaken.
He might be the director of rugby now or something. Can't remember.
Yeah. So I think, if they just give him a solid coach with a proven track record who knows the game, and you just keep him there, come hell or high water, I think you allow that to build in that culture. In terms of grassroots, though, that's where it comes to. Now, when I was there, as you mentioned, thanks for pointing out quite a while ago, it was the fastest growing sport for all the years I was there. So for 4 years, rugby was the fastest growing sport in the US, which was fantastic. Really, really great to see, and great to hear. So you had these guys joining, getting involved, but it's still got a mountain to climb. You know, that sport culture in the US is, I mean, we think we like our sport in South Africa, and we do, don't get me wrong. But yes, it's those oaks, eh? I mean, like to the level of where you've got university football, they call it college football. You've got pretzels. You imagine having UJ styled, flavored, colored pretzels, or Wits or UCT pretzels. Like these oaks have food branded after the universities, like for their football. And I think when you're dealing with such, you know, an institution like that, you know, it's never going to rival those guys, but it doesn't need to, right? It doesn't need to be as big as that. I think they just need to somehow get on par with the world-class teams to be able to perform, because they can.
All right. No, thanks.
I think I actually saw the highest paid government officials in almost like 90% of the states in the US are college football coaches. So the money is insane.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot of money in it, and I think you're right. And I mean, we can speculate about the reasons why they aren't quite at the level that they are, and maybe we're being a little too harsh, and maybe it obviously takes some time. This is still very new to them, you know. And so, Chris, if I could get your perspective on this, do we think, honestly, as South Africans, that the US will ever catch up and compete on an international stage, or are they always going to be, let's call them the minnow or the second tier team?
I don't know. It's like we were just saying. I mean, because they're so big, I always thought that with everyone that's there, that everyone that wants to play rugby, they should be able to put together really a few decent professional teams, right? Like you're saying, they should really start to compete. I think if they have the right systems and structures in place, I think they can creep into the top 10 in the world. I really believe that. I think they certainly surely have more resources than the Italys of the world and Fijis and Georgias, you know. So they just apply themselves, and this league, I enjoyed watching the MRL now. I'm getting into it. It's still a nice betting league because the bookies haven't caught up to some of the teams. So I know I'm really enjoying it, and you say the sevens, I think suits their style for sure. But I think I would say there should be enough people in the pot there. But it's like you say, like we born and bred in rugby, right? Before we can even talk, we know what a rugby ball is, similar to them with their American football. So when it's so ingrained in you, there is a little bit of a difference there in how you're gonna, you know, approach the game and play it, you know. But yeah, I think with the right people, if they keep their league going, I was actually going to ask, I don't know what the structures are like underneath the MRL teams. Do these teams have, I was actually going to ask, do they have second team, third teams? What is the level above these Premier League sides that are going at the moment? What does that look like there, the feeder teams and so on?
Yeah, I think Wes would probably be best placed to answer that.
That's what I was asking Wes. Yeah, I was asking Wes, how many teams do these guys have? Yeah, like in these clubs.
Just quickly there, sorry guys. Yeah, Chris, I can't hear you. So if you saw my thumb there, I was trying to see if I could set it my side. So,
okay.
Yeah,
sorry, well, let me just pass on the question.
Sure.
Chris just basically wants to understand, you know, but beneath the MRL teams, is there like a second tier, third tier structure? Is it my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that it goes basically college almost straight into the national structure?
Yeah, exactly. So what we call university college there, that pretty much feeds direct. Well, it used to. So while I was there, the transition happened, right? So let's say my first or second year, you would go straight into a national side. They've got obviously their top side, and then they've got their second tier, which they call the Falcons, right? So what we call the box A, they call the Falcon side, and those are generally the younger guys who then they try blood and train up to play the US sort of first team. But in terms of there being, you know, so you've got MLR now, in terms of being under that, there's nothing really official. There's lots of clubs, you know, lots of club rugby, especially sevens, right? 7 club rugby is massive.
Thank you.
But in terms of a structure below that, and I think end of the day, it always comes down to money. Like, again, I've got friends who've played in this league, and when it was starting out, unfortunately, they were quite badly burned because contracts were, well, not quite what they should have been. You know, I think guys were just so grateful to keep playing and get paid. But hopefully now it seems that it's becoming a bit more professional. So I think as more eyes get on it, as they start bringing in more money, obviously it's how it works, right? There'll be more money to give the guys, and hopefully that can make it sort of a more attractive option.
Great. Thank you very much, Wes. So we'll get back to Wesley a little bit later on in the show. Right now, we'd like to move into the big news of the weekend, boys. And obviously we're not gonna quite start on the most exciting game, but let's have a chat about the Six Nations quickly. And honestly, I've enjoyed it so much. It's been a while since I've watched Northern Hemisphere
It's
rugby
been
and really
great.
got into it. And let's start off with the Italy-Scotland game, and Rion, a 26-14 result in favour of Scotland. What do we think about this Italian side at the moment?
Potential, I suppose. Potential, and then game management is my other issue with them. I actually saw an interview with Sebastian Negri today, and he said they've decided that being the old Italy team that's game management and playing the right side of the field wasn't working. They were getting clapped by 50 points every game, so they've decided, no, screw that. We're going to start running it from our 22, come hell or high water. And I suppose if you look at the numbers, that's helped for them this year. They've done better. But I just feel they've gone a little bit too far in that direction. Their kicking meters are not even half of some of the other teams, and they just never exit. So I would love to see them just, with all that running that they use, just get a little bit more game management and exit a little better, and things might go even better than it has been.
All right, I've got some views on that, but we'll get to it in a second. But let me just pass it on over to Chris quickly. Do we feel that Italy was slightly unlucky? I mean, they were 19. I think they were 19-14 down at one point, and really pressuring Scotland, and a breakaway try from Scotland basically sealed it up. So is it fair to call them unlucky, or is this just another poor Italian side?
Well, I think you guys have got to know me the last couple of weeks what my thoughts are on the Italian side, right? Like to be fair, you can see that they're changing their style, right? And I think that's the right thing to do. They weren't what they were doing the last 20, 30 years as a professional team. They weren't breaking through. But like I say, for me, they're still limited for them to do that. If they want to do that, they've got to keep doing this now, and maybe accept that they're going to make mistakes and lose games like they've been doing. But for me, it's not even that adventurous, what's the right word, adventure of them, whatever, that style to play. If you watch, they don't exit the 22. They get themselves offside. Scotland camp on their line. I mean, it's basic. That's not even like let's play rugby. It's just basic stuff. You know, it's basic shit. Stay behind the kicker. Don't go offside. Then they get to the 22, and some oak runs in front of the guy, accidental offside, 5 meters out, and they do this. I've watched this for 20 years, and it does my brain in. I've never enjoyed watching them because of that, but I have to give them credit. They are trying something different. They are looking a bit different. But they've got to start winning tier 1 internationals for me to really get I'm going to say respect, but they're 14th in the world for a reason, right? There's other teams that are not in the Six Nations and who are above them, and there's a reason. And they're making improvements. Like, I've heard this whole shift, they're investing in it, they're going for it. You're looking how Wales are struggling, Scotland are also struggling in the under 20s. The Italian under 20 side arguably is actually better than those teams at the moment, possibly. So they could over time be a shift of So I'm going to try not be too cynical and negative and keep bashing them. I've heard this opinion, so I'm going to give them another 5 years. I'm going to give them to 2030, and I want to see them not winning one.
I think that's an absolute joke, Chris. I'm sorry. Honestly, let's pause for a second, and I'm gonna be blatant in my opinion, and you say they look different. Rion agrees they look different. They're trying something different, and are we not just talking about another wolf in a different sheep's clothing? They're the same thing over and over again at the core of it, a losing team. And Wes, frankly, I'll chuck this one over to you. I'm going to throw you a statue, Wes. In the last, actually, I'm gonna ask you if you know the answer to this. In the last 42 Six Nations games, how many games do you think Italy has won? 42.
I don't know the answer to that. Okay. Let's get. Can I go to Rian, please?
No. Just have a go. What's your general opinion?
No.
Put on one hand.
I want to say, okay, how many have won? Realistically, it's maybe less than 10. Around there, let's go 8. Why not?
Whoa.
-7.
Yeah, you
Mine
had
is
it.
7.
You
What?
had
How
the
do you-
answer.
One-
You had
one.
the answer.
One. One game in 42 of their last Six Nations.
That's
And
my
you have to
point.
wonder,
That's my point.
what's the purpose of having them in this competition? I frankly think they need to earn their way back into it. And they've become fodder for everyone else, and it's a bit of a joke at this point. That's my opinion.
I agree.
Okay,
I haven't
yeah,
seen the
and
improvement.
fair enough, but I think my pushback might be, you don't get better by playing worse teams, and arguably the other 5 teams in the competition are the best in the Northern Hemisphere, and so constantly being exposed to that, I think, is good. Now, yeah, okay, there's definitely some sort of key thing that's not clicking. Why aren't they getting better? They've played how many years in the Six Nations, but I think relegating them to a secondary division where they're going to play competition that is maybe below them and they're just going to breeze through that, I don't think that builds them. I think there's something to be said to keep showing up week in, week out, year after year, knowing that you might be fodder.
I would agree with you. I will end this discussion on this Italy talk by
The
simply
thing is,
saying
they
that
can't get relegated.
the other
Works on
teams in Europe,
shares.
they also deserve a
Nations
chance
is a
to face
shares
top.
thing.
Yeah, but they deserve a chance to face other top nations who are and get battered by somebody else. Let Georgia get in there and get stuffed up.
Yeah, I know some people don't like this relegation.
Yeah, look, absolutely. Maybe there should be some sort of thing, but I think just sort of sidelining them might be premature. I think I hear what you're saying, Reese, about is it a sheep in another wolf's clothing or whatever the thing is, sheep in wolf's clothing. But I don't know. I think there seems to be, and maybe it's the naivety in me, and maybe it's the hopeless romantic for rugby. But I'd like to believe there's something different here. I think you can, like, if you look at their captain, they've obviously always had a stellar captain, but the new captain, he's just really inspiring, and the guys are rallying around him, and there seems to be something different. And I'm not going to bet the mortgage or the house on it, obviously, but I hope that there is sort of a real change, and that these close wins, as you said, were they just unlucky against Scotland, the breakaway try, should bounce the ball, or is this going to be a consistent thing? And unfortunately, only time will tell.
Yeah, imagine 40 games of the ball bouncing the wrong way.
Can I just one?
No, and I hear you, but what I'm saying is that in the past, absolutely, there's been something that's not been right. But I'm saying this season, so far from what we've seen, or at least last season and this year, it does seem to be more the ball bouncing the wrong way, as opposed to the Italians causing the ball to bounce the wrong way, if that makes sense.
I think Rion, was it Rion or Chris?
Chris. No, I was just gonna say, Lars, I know it's not a popular opinion, but I still believe, I still think 2 tiers, 3 tiers in rugby, relegation, promotion battles would be nice to see. I think Georgia, Romania, Spain, even Portugal should be given a chance, because I think they can give Italy a game, probably beat them on their day. And if they deserve to go up and spend a year in the Six Nations thrashing it out, they should do it. And I think so. Have a 5 nations tier 1, 5 nations tier 2, 1 team out, 1 team in. Maybe every 2 years, 1 team in, 1 team out, something like that. I think that could be, and that to motivate, because like I said, it kind of feels like the new, I don't know if you guys heard this new some international South versus North thing come in, and they really still tossing these teams aside in that format. So what motivation is it for those guys then to really push themselves, right? Where Italy's just going to be put there, but still get their asses handed to every single year,
Chris, I hear you, and thanks for that, boys. So let's hear, if you are listening to this on a podcast, or you're listening to it live, please let us know in the comments for next week, especially. We'd love to hear from you guys whether you think that perhaps a relegation promotion model is appropriate for the Six Nations, and do Italy deserve to be there? Is the next question. So as we move on to the next game, gents, I'd like to talk again. I'd like to leave the big one for last, but Wales-France, 41-28. I'd still call it a drubbing, although the pundits in Wales would say improvement, and I'd go, well, I'm not really too sure. I think that certainly Wales showed a lot of effort, a lot of chutzpah to score some tries, and they looked a little bit better. And to be honest, with the caliber of player that they do have in that group, it's not unexpected that they would be doing slightly better. But I'd like to talk a little bit more about France, because we know about Wales's woes, we know about the internal struggles that they're having. We've always talked about France as being a dark horse in a World Cup, and it's very much like the Belgium situation in football. They've always had this reputation, and often it hasn't truly been backed up. But I think, personally, going into this year's World Cup, that they're a bit more than a dark horse. I think that they can solidly say, based on performances and not on reputation and voodoo and all this hype around them always being the New Zealand in World Cups, that they are genuinely one of the favorites. Is that fair to say? Let's chuck it back there to Rian.
Yeah, they are scary. I think basically, especially after that England game, it felt like there's no one in the world that could beat them. If they stay injury free, they stay well rested, and they're playing in France. I mean, they don't really have to leave France, any of those players, for the rest of the year. They'll be playing everything at home now. The top 14 ends in June, so that's a massive gap between now and June and September when it starts. So they should have a long, good rest and time to get ready. They are, for me, they should be the favorites, equal favorites with Ireland, because they're so good, France because they're home. I think that for me is currently the rating. We can match them, but our discipline has been terrible. Theirs has been much better than us, and I think that's where we've been losing a lot.
Yeah, and Chris, sorry, I always do this to you, and always chuck you in the deep end a little bit. But are we seeing an improvement, perhaps in on how the bookies are seeing France, or is it kind of still not too sure?
Still even my France, yeah, it's still neck and neck. If you shop around, you'll find France or Ireland are just over even money each. France, I think Ireland after this, they are just creeped in a little bit actually on some bookies. But I'll stick my neck out. I've been saying France for the last 3 years, and that doesn't change. Yes, they've had a little bit of an offish Six Nations, but I always have said, if this France team wants to win, they win. So they wanted to win they were not good against Ireland. Ireland were good, dubious cause. I'm going to throw that out there. Wales was interesting. I just think they were just playing like a park game. They just like kind of when they wanted to go and put the ball under the poles, off they went and they did it. And I agree with Rian. I think also just at home, that French fans, it's a 16th man for them. They're a different beast at home. They've been planning for this for years. Like I stick my neck out here. Ireland have been great. Nothing against Ireland, but even against England, the first 60 minutes, they were nervous and they were not sure they were going to win that game. Now, if that was a proper switched on France or Book team, would have Ireland maybe even won that? So I'm still thinking you're going to get to a quarterfinal. I don't know where it's going to be played. If it's Parc de France or Marseille. I still will put my neck out and say France will beat Ireland in a quarterfinal, and that's going to be my call until that quarterfinal.
Listen, we had
I think it's possible. As long as Paris isn't on fire from strikes, there should be.
Yeah.
But look, we had some abuse last week for apparently Ireland bashing, and so Chris,
did we? And you've done it again. Oops.
Yeah, I pray for your soul, and I hope that you'll. Thanks for the.
I need to. This Ireland side is amazing. They've proven it, but I still don't think everyone got on that Italy train that's left the station. Everyone's on this Ireland train. I'm just saying, they're not unbeatable. It's got that feeling like New Zealand and maybe the last two World Cups just feels like it is going towards Ireland's way. But I think man and on paper, all things even, bounce of the ball even, ref decisions even, France are the favourites.
Yeah, I mean favourites to win the third place playoff, because obviously it's a fair team to win, right? Of course, but
at least France makes finals. That's the one thing they do. They've played in.
Yeah, that's. I mean, 2011 lost to Tonga and we're 1 point away. Well, let's face it. If Juppé put his hand up there in that last 5 minutes, it was overs Cordovas for New Zealand, wasn't it?
All right, so boys, again, I don't want to get too deep into Wales. We've got a lot to cover today. They're horrible, they're woeful. We move, okay?
Amen.
And they're going to make the semi-final, but I didn't say that.
So. Oh, okay, all right, okay. You heard it there first from Chris.
Yeah, you heard it, yeah.
Wiz, if I could let you start off on the big one here, the big boy, St. Paddy's weekend, a Grand Slam on the cards.
Paddy's, Paddy with a D. Don't get it wrong. People keep out.
My apologies. And some serious history on the cards for Ireland. So it was a 29-16 win in favor of Ireland, and I'm sure the boys have been partying hard if you've seen on social media. Ireland are deserved winners. Would you just straight up, would you agree with that sentiment?
Yeah, I think short answer, yes. You know, they definitely look like one of the most consistent teams, definitely more consistent than England. You know, it's always been between them and France, it looked like, the season. Yeah, it was fantastic to see. You know, I think I'm really excited to get your guys' take on obviously the Stewart's card. I'm sure we'll get into that because I'd love to hear your thoughts, and there's been lots on it. But I definitely think, Ireland looking like they are firing on all cylinders, and by all means, they must go out and party and drink lots of Guinness, and just, you know, don't slow down.
Get a little
I was thinking that as well. I was seeing his videos as well. So keep going, boys. Keep going.
I think I saw they showed up to I can't remember which.
It's Ringrose's house.
Ringrose's house.
Yes, his parents' house. Yeah.
On day 4, because he refused to come out on the 4th day and keep Jordan. And good on them. Well done to the Irish, and we applaud them, one, for winning. Congratulations. For me, well deserved. And for the Ireland haters last week who didn't like that we thought that they weren't going to win the World Cup, well, here you go, a little bit of praise for them. And so we headed to some really cool stats. A 4th Grand Slam for the Irish across both 5 and 6 nations, which is an incredible feat, by the way. It's not easy, even though you've got Italy in there. And more importantly, boys, it's what a time to peak, right? You've got a World Cup here.
Oh, the dreaded P word.
100%. I mean, the peak is just outrageous. And to be honest, barring, let's call it New Zealand, on a couple of occasions, generally the team that's really at their peak in World Cup year doesn't actually meet expectations. But we're not putting that video on them. Please don't hate us in the comments. We are just saying this is generally a fact. Rion, what do we think? Johnny Sexton, I mean, what is his last Six Nations game? He gets a Grand Slam.
We don't know.
We think. I'm assuming, fair enough, but the grey on his head's telling me something else. He becomes an all-time leading Six Nations point scorer, and a dream send-off for him. Where do we rate Johnny Sexton in Irish folklore, rugby folklore, and in all time?
I'd say probably on the level, they've all rated Brian O'Driscoll as the best ever. He must be level with him at least now. I think if they get that big Webb Ellis Trophy at the end of the year, it will be Johnny Sexton, best ever Irish player. Right now, for me, he must be on the same level as Brian O'Driscoll, just for the things he's done. He's basically a coach on the field. He's as old as I am, and he's taking those shots. So no, you can't not rate a man like that. Yeah. I stub my toe and I need to sit down for 3 hours, and this guy is getting tackled by Oranges and Olivon and those guys, and getting up and going again. No, you have to rate Johnny. He's one of the best, not just for Ireland, best ever to play the game.
Yeah. No, absolutely. We seem to have temporarily lost Wesley, but I'm sure we'll get him back now in a second. But Chris, if I could just throw it back to you. Well, I think Rion more answered about the ability of Johnny within the Irish side. But what is your opinion of Johnny on a global scale?
He's cemented himself there. He's up there now. He's top 5, top 6, probably if greatest to probably have played the game. Especially he's been in a few good Irish sides, brilliant Irish sides. Totally their tennis man. I'll be honest, I wasn't a fan in the beginning. His antics on the field,
me a while as well.
And Farrell. He was a little brat on the field. He used to drive me insane. No, but honestly, he's got all my respect now. I watching him on the weekend. He's up there. You can put him top 5 fly off definitely of all time. Probably. I mean, I love Bod. Bod was still, when I was growing up, he was the man. But you got to probably say overall now what Sexton has achieved and his influence in that achievement, you got to put him as probably their greatest now.
Yeah, and I would definitely agree with that. I think that something that I really enjoy about Johnny and in general is his ability to take what I would call a traditional game and to elevate it through all of his years of experience. And he reminds me very much, in my opinion, of like a Mornay Steyn type vibe. You know, he's just clinical in the basics, and he does everything well. Perhaps not the exceptional and without the flair so much, but I mean that was your job, right? That's what you were signed up to do, and you do it well, and it wins you games. And it's such a poignant thing in all sports, by the way, in my opinion, to see the traditionalists coming out on top in an age where innovation is lauded and really shine against the viral reaction.
I don't know if you saw the rugby, the good, the bad rugby pod. He was on there with Haskell and I can't remember his name. He hosts it, but they'll make him fun of, because he's not. If you look at him physically, they even joked he doesn't have shoulders. They called him tomato sauce bottle. But the thing is, like he said, and he made a comment that he actually in the gym he was actually stronger than a lot of people. I think he's just one of those guys, even though he doesn't look like a Ma'ananu or specimen of Carter. I think he's one of those guys that got core strength and a strong mind, and that's why he influences the game and has influenced the game the way he has. And there's a lot to say for that.
Yeah, and Wes, I know you're begging to get in on this. Let me just first check. Are you able to hear me, Wes?
No, now we can't hear him.
Now you're muted, Wes.
Wait, we can't.
Well, Wes, if you can hear us, you're having a bit of audio issues, and we'll get our technical team.
I could read his lips, and he was calling Johnny shit. He was saying, "No, this guy."
Word for word is exactly what he said. Audio man, go sort that out, please, with Wes. And in the meantime, Chris, what I'll also check back to you is the effect of Andy Farrell on this side. Oh, geez, Wes.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's appropriate for YouTube, but but yeah, Chris, like I said, Andy Farrell's influence on this Irish team, really cool. And I mean, I wonder if Owen sent him a little message to say congratulations. I'm not sure if
no, for sure he did. No, I must say I'm surprised, because Ireland were progressing. Was it Schmidt that was the last coach before Farrell, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
They started to beat the All Blacks. They had a Grand Slam under him. They were doing well. I wasn't sure. I didn't know if that was going to be their peak. We're going to get. They're still going to be strong, but did not see what's happened in the last 3 years. No, and I don't know about you guys. I really love I love to listen to the way people talk, and players and peers, and when people talk about certain people, and Farrell's one of those that has that respect that you can tell, and that's great. I didn't expect it, but it's really good for them, and looks like and that's. Besides, I think France probably have it as well, because they've had this cohesion. We've had the cohesion the last 4 years, and so have they. And that's why us, France and Ireland are, for me, the favorites at this point. New Zealand will obviously be there, but just because we've got the same core, the same culture, and it's there and it's ingrained. And I think I didn't expect him to bring it to the party, but he has.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you for that. Now, as soon as we get Wes back, we're going to get his opinion on this, because I'm sure he's got views. But Rion, Jaco Paper, what the actual bleep? I mean, I'll get to his obviously the red card for Stewart in a second, but generally speaking, throughout that game, there were a lot of very dodgy calls going on out there. And I mean, look, everyone has an off day. The English will say it's because he's South African, and I will say, well done to Jaco. I hope he got paid very well. But let's have a chat, Rion. What do we think about Jaco's performance in general? We'll get onto the specifics of the red card in a second.
I don't know. It's hard to know. Every time he has a big game, whenever it's like Italy, Scotland, or something, he seems fine. But as soon as the game gets massive, the spotlight's much brighter. The microscopes come out, and then everyone just sees mistakes. I don't think the red card would have made a difference. Maybe they would have won by 9 instead of 13 points or whatever it was. But I don't know. It's just every time Paper plays, especially when he's playing against England or something, it seems like he makes mistakes. It could be because the accent just doesn't make him sound smart, but I gotta be honest. I usually don't. I usually don't try to look at refs. I try and see them as the invisible thing on the field, and so I never focus on them. I definitely don't like to rate refs. It's talking about the wrong thing of rugby, but people they're angry whenever a game gets close. The ref gets under a microscope. That's just the way rugby works.
Yeah, no, I mean, 100%. And as Wes joins us back there, Wes, let us know if you want to say something, so we can know if you're back. But in the meantime,
Reese, can you hear me?
Yes,
we can hear you.
Hey, fantastic.
So,
Chris, are you? Sorry, Chris, can you say something? So, are you back?
Yeah, can you hear me?
No,
can you hear me?
I still can't hear Chris.
Okay. That's fine. We'll pass along. Chris was relatively, you don't have to worry about Chris. He doesn't say
don't worry about it. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
The sign language.
Jokes, Chris. But Wes, we were just having a chat, and we were just talking about Yaku Paper's performance. And I know you had some feelings about that red card. So would you like to perhaps explain for maybe the viewers who didn't, or listeners who didn't get a chance to actually see it, what happened? Did it deserve a red card? And is Yaku Paper on the payroll?
Yeah. Okay, for those of us who didn't get a chance to perhaps see it, or for those of you rather, what we had was an Irish player sort of coming up to collect a loose ball off the ground. Sort of as he was picking it up, we had Freddie Stewart, the England fullback, coming in at quite a pace. Initially, it looked like he was caught between either wanting to go for the ball himself or sort of flatten the oak. And then at the last sort of minute, he kind of felt a bit awkward. And so he tried to pull out of everything. And in doing so, sort of not even dropped his shoulder, just tried to turn. And the Irish player's head hit straight into his elbow. From my viewpoint and opinion, because this is all it's going to be, right? Because unfortunately, none of us can look at it, with completely factual eyes or unbiased opinion. But there was no malicious intent. I do believe he was trying to pull out and it got himself into a bad situation. People might argue, actually, he should never have gotten into that situation in the first place. And so that's maybe where it comes from. But if I really don't like the use of slow-mo, because things don't happen in slow-mo. Guys don't have that amount of time that we are watching it in. Oh, he could have done. It doesn't happen that way. It was literally in the blink of an eye and it was all over. And so I do think it has to, when you're reviewing situations like that, I think real time is the only way, to watch it, because that allows you to sort of look at, get an understanding of what the speed the player was seeing it at. And even then it's not a true comparison, because we've got this sort of bird eye view of all the perfect space. Whereas if you think about it from Maddox's perspective with adrenaline running, but yeah, anyway, so from my perspective, I don't think a red card. I think if you were going to go by the letter of the law, trying to stick to it at least, I think direct contact with the head, I think yellow card, just if you wanted to tick the boxes. But I do think it was quite harsh.
So let me just play devil's advocate for a second here, because someone needs to be in Paper's corner a little bit. We've got a situation where, and I'll use Cheslin Colby as an example, a guy who's on a couple of occasions been caught mistiming runs where he's going for high balls, and as a result, he's kind of pulled away, and he's like, oh no, and you can see he's not actually trying to tackle a guy, but he hits him with the shoulder, the oak goes flying over, like basically effectively cracks his neck, right? And he's been sent off on a number of occasions for it, and rightly so. Now, I know this is a different situation, but the laws are very similar, right? In that you can't put yourself in a reckless situation. Now, if you mistime a run, that's on you. And if you put yourself in a position where you're actually about to injure somebody because of your mistimed run, regardless of whether you're following through with it or not, is it still not your fault?
I think if that's the way we're going to go about things, then rugby might as well just stop.
Yeah,
and I've seen all the reactions on Twitter, right? This is the death of rugby, and thanks World Rugby for killing our sport. And look, let's not get that dramatic, but I mean, Reece, you played also for a number of years and stuff, and the decisions you've got to make on the field, the number of decisions and the speeds of the decisions you've got to make, and these guys are the top. They are the top performers around the world, and if they are making these decisions, they're more often than not bad decisions. So I do think there are times when, a truly terrible decision is made. The Oak's gone for the wrong call, maybe maliciously, maybe not, and it deserves to be punished. But I think in this case, it's something completely different.
Okay, so obviously I think there's a big distinction there between intent, and obviously we've all played this game. We all know what it's like to be in the situation. It doesn't mean though that protocols can't be put in place to ensure that as little of those situations happen. But Chris, Rion, do you have thoughts on it?
I think we all I think we all agree. Like I said, we've all played rugby, right? And I think I've done that. So players hit me, and I think I've copped one in the exact same situation. We both got up, and unfortunately this player was injured to that, but that happens. That is rugby. Like I think even like you say, even for contesting for the ball, I think if you make the decision to contest for the ball, that's your decision. Like, why is it someone else's prerogative to look after you if you both have the same intention? I think that's rugby. It's always been rugby. But when it comes to the ref, and I think this is not a sentiment. This is not Yako paper. This is where rugby is. We've got far too many refs involved. We've got far too many laws that are open up to interpretation. Ironically, we've got a protocol for a red card that leads to this decision. And I think, like we're saying, there's this. I think Super Rugby are trying, and obviously that protocol, if you get a yellow, it can be upgraded to a red. I don't know if it's the other way around. But if we're gonna have a hard checklist, and you look, guys, you can even see Yaka Paper didn't want to give the red. If you actually watch him, he was like, oh, gosh, I've gone through this checklist and I've got to send you off. But I think for me, this checklist has to also have some kind of common sense.
There must be just the little common sense section.
Yes, correct. So I think that even if he got to the red in his protocol, I still think there should be a 20-minute window where people take a breath, take a step back, and even that red card can be reduced to a yellow or something like that, because the game didn't need. It doesn't need. I'm going to put my neck out here. We're going to see something like that in the World Cup semi-final or final. I'm telling you right now, a decision like that's going to be made.
I think behind the closed doors, they're going to tell refs, don't give a red card in the playoffs. Even if it looks bad, do anything to mitigate it. Do not give a red card.
But we can't have that. That's we can't. No, like no one. It is. We love this game, but it is becoming a hard watch, and I do feel for the refs, but refs have got it hard. But you just see just see some weird decisions.
Yeah. No, thanks, boys. And I'd like to just touch on something that's been bothering me for a while. I know it's been played with, is the temporary red card, right? The effect of, if you do get a straight red, or a red in general, it's the 10 minutes off, and then a replacement by another player. I think that's a great model to work
20
with.
minutes, yeah.
It doesn't destroy the game.
Yeah,
sides.
I agree.
And to be honest, I know we said that Ireland probably would have got away with this win, but as a product for the game, it felt like England were always battling up here.
I don't like a 20-minute red card, I do not enjoy it. I think the idea of the red card is you have to feel like you've let your team down. That's one of the uses of the red card. You must feel guilty that you let your team down. It's one of the parts of the red card. What they need to do is they also need to fine that player. In hockey, there used to be brawls all over the field, all over the ice. And then they started fining people. NRL as well. They fined their match fees. Then all of a sudden that stuff went down a lot. People were more careful. They were bending over in tackles, that kind of stuff.
Oh, right. Okay, no, Rihanna, we're such idiots over here. Honestly, the correct approach was just deck the Oak. I mean, let the people get involved. Come on in, give him a smack around and let him play on.
I made a ridiculous suggestion. I got nailed for it. I said, if it's a yellow card, -6 points. If it's a red, -12 points. Negative marking. And I got thrown under. So all right. That's obviously not going to work. But I thought,
the Forever Sports fan forum is now boiling down to conspiracy theories. But No, but thanks, guys. I do appreciate that. That's some really good input there. But I think let's boil this down very simply now. Ireland deserve winners. Certainly, in my point of view, I'm convinced. To be very honest with you, I hate to say it. I don't think I've ever said it before. I think that they are the front runners for this World Cup. I don't want to see it, but yeah, that's my opinion, and we'll see what happens. And
So I was trying to look for odds for you. Sorry, from the betting angle, the odds at the moment aren't up. Actually, I wanted to say that for me, there's value on that side of the draw for Australia final, Wales semi-final. I think you can get good odds if you're a betting man. If you can find above 2 to 1 there, those are some good value bets. Who call?
Should you put money down before Eddie's first game or after Eddie's first game?
No, before. You've got to do it before. That's what I say. When you see Australia for the final, I'm trying to work. Just to use my experience, what you could find, you could get close to 10. It will be a good price. It will be a good price, and it will be a decent bet. It will be a runner, definitely. Australia to make the final.
Right. Well, you heard it first. Now, to touch, boys, bring a close on our Six Nations coverage, and of course we'll be back next year for that. Let's talk about one very interesting piece of news that came out during this week. The appointment of Scott Robertson to coach New Zealand in 2024. Wes,
it's over, boys.
I don't know if you saw the news.
Rugby is finished.
I think there's not quite just yet. I think Scott Robertson is obviously.
I'm a Lions fan. I've got trauma against that man.
He hurt us a few times, but Scott Robertson, a serial winner with the Crusaders. I think it's 6. I'm not sure. I could be wrong on that. I think it's 6 Super Rugby titles, and I'm sure he will probably add to that this season as well. But he takes over in 2024 after the World Cup. Our incumbent, Ian Foster, is obviously not very happy with the situation, and he's expressed some very public outrage that this entire decision-making regarding his replacement has taken place before the World Cup. But they've gone ahead and done it anyway. Is this a sign that New Zealand have effectively not only written off Ian Foster, which obviously they have by replacing him, but written off their chances in the World Cup by saying, we don't really care how disruptive this is to our team?
No, I think if you've got I think, in a country like New Zealand where rugby is, as big as a religion, if not bigger, I think they would never write off any kind of World Cup, right? That is their pilgrimage every 4 years. And so I think any opportunity to win one, they would want to. I think there's potentially lots of reasons why they might have done such a disruptive move. But I still think that they will want to win this just as badly as any other team, and if not even more so because of all this now. And I think if anyone's writing off the All Blacks, well, then that person's an idiot. But we'll have to see.
I agree.
100%. Okay, well, let me. It seems all three of you are in agreement with this, but let me throw some interesting facts your way. Scott Robertson has never coached overseas. I think that's a pretty well-known one. An interesting one is that the 2 most successful coaches in New Zealand history are Steve Hansen and Graham Henry. Both had international experience, or I should say rather overseas experience coaching before they took on the job. The other one is that he has never coached at an international level. So are we saying that the Super Rugby is enough to transcend into the arena of the biggest, let's be honest, the biggest job in rugby?
We did Aussie coach. He was an assistant of the All Blacks, Yeah, so he did coach before.
He came through the ranks, with the assistants. Yeah, Hansen was Wales, wasn't it?
And Henry as well.
Graham and Henry, both of them were Wales, right?
Terrible records. They were shit.
Yeah, but regardless of the record,
I agree. I agree with you. This is also another hype train. But look, he's a winner. I don't think anyone disagrees with that, but I'm sensing, because I try to also get all the news as well, get all the sources, and I think there are a few New Zealanders that have the same thought, because I think Jamie Joseph probably has the experience. I mean, he has won Super Rugby's now Japan, and he is a bit older, so I think some people are thinking, and I'm starting to think, well, this is a perfect time for Jamie Joseph to come do a World Cup cycle, and let Robertson go to England or Wales, and then Robertson will be perfect for the next World Cup cycle. That's how I probably would have played it out. But I think because Crusaders are, again, serial winners, you just see the way they play. They feel like they're more a New Zealand vibe, you know. So I think everyone's excited to just see the All Blacks play back to that style that we all can't live with, you know. And I think they're thinking that Scott Robinson will definitely bring that to the table, but it will be interesting. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll have the players on his side, and he'll have the right coaching staff, and they'll be New Zealand. They'll be top 2 in the world forever.
All right.
As long as we know.
All right. Interesting. We'll see how that goes. And yeah, I guess time will tell. I know he's got the backing of one of obviously the biggest name in eighth man, Kieran Reid, very publicly backed him, and probably rightly so. But yeah, as I said, we've got a lot to get through. I would talk about the New Zealand politics for quite some time, but let's quickly touch on the Currie Cup. I'd love to run through, Rian, what were your thoughts? Would you like me to run you through quickly our results?
The results have been terrible.
So let's start with this. Let's start with this this Pumas Golden Lions game. I'm not overly shocked. A 34-27 game in favor of the Pumas. Again, I'm not really sure how many people are watching this. We don't seem to get too much engagement, you know, on these points on Currie Cup games, which to me is already indicative that the news sort of maybe people are hearing for the first time when we bring it up. That seems to be my general impression. But 34-27 result in favor of the Pumas, unexpected, not really.
Not really. Mr. Stonehouse says his guys buzzing there in Malacheni, as they call it now. They're playing like champions. They're carrying on with that momentum they had last year. And it feels like the Lions are still playing an under-21 squad in the Currie Cup.
Yeah.
We just do not have the layers of teams that some of the other clubs have in the country. So, and I've also heard in the back rooms, we all know it's a bit of a clown show, that the junior level coaches and the senior coaches are almost never around the same table. There's interference from the CEO and stuff. So It is a bit of a weird one right now in Joburg. So I'm not surprised the Pumas beat them. They beat the Bulls as well.
Yeah, look, when your coach is coming out, a Lions coach, and of course he's coming out and saying that, the backroom politics definitely is playing a part in it. That's definitely of concern. Chris, and then I'll chuck it over to Wes as well. I'd like to just chat about the Western Province game against so effectively, if you didn't know as well, Blue Bulls obviously had a number of players available to them and stacked it with what is a relatively strong side, although they seem to still somehow be managing to lose with it. Western Province took another approach. They've got a huge game in the URC coming up against Leinster at the top of the URC. And so that John Dobson decided to field a second string side against a strong Bull side, and obviously expecting, or maybe not expecting, but at least wouldn't be shocked by taking an L against them. Chris,
Yeah.
I mean, as someone who wouldn't be expected, what happened there?
As a province man, I wasn't expecting it, to be honest. I did call a Bull. I didn't punt it to you guys, thankfully, but I thought the Bulls should surely at home at Loftus take that win. But I think it's a sign of the time, guys. I think, let's face it, Western Province Union Stormers is the strongest union in the country. The culture's filtering through all the sides, and you can see that. It's playing out on the field. So I think a lot of people, even in my punting group, it took a lot of people to trust the Stormers, as did I, because 2 years ago, even in the COVID times, Stormers weren't strong. We were leaking, we weren't defending well. But this is an unregular. Dobson was the worst thing since sliced bread, or now is the best thing since sliced bread. But he was criticised. It's just a big turnaround, and so it's filtered through the union, and the province and Stormers right now, I always say, are just very, very difficult to beat. Leinster will struggle to beat them tomorrow. Stormers might not win, but at the moment, it's the strongest union in the country. So I think we just got to keep that in mind.
100%. And Wes, does that come as a shock to you to know that province not only I would call grassroots, but it's not really, of course, that this second string province/Stormers team is beating what is a very strong Bulls team. I believe similarly did start. Corsi and all the boykies, I think, were pretty much involved there. yeah, is it a shock to learn that out of the depths of liquidation, Province have somehow risen to the top of the game?
Not entirely. I think maybe surface level, but I think you've got, again, that second string side. Those Oaks will see that as their opportunity to just give it absolutely everything. They've got nothing to lose, right? So again, being the side expected to lose, the underdogs, we know that tale. But those individual players, this is their chance to do something. And I mean, fantastic for them. They took it by the horns, well, literally the Bulls, and took the game to them and won. So I think, yeah, if you haven't played sports, maybe, given the facts, it might be shocking. But if you've played sports, I think you could understand why they were able to pull out that win.
100%.
But
the guy in charge of the union off to Saru now, Rian Oberholzer. He was the administrator in charge of Western Province Union now. I think he's leaving.
Oh, really?
Right.
Yeah. So enjoy it while you can, boys.
Well, I think also this is another pattern of the 2-year itch of Jake White, right? 2-3 years, things kind of start
The
off with
Mourinho
a bang,
sickness.
and then things start to unravel, and maybe, and also what I noticed with the Bulls, I mean, you never see the same Bulls team. Like, there's always 7 changes every single week. How can you get any momentum? Guys probably don't know where they stand with Jake or where they stand in that squad system, and it's just, as you can see, they can't put a cohesive, solid performance together at the moment.
Okay, so big news coming out of Forever Sports. Jake White's still a Duis.
But also Dobbo, if you listen to Dobbo, he talks about the players. He says these guys, they're one for all for one mentality. If you listen to these things that come out of camps, they matter, and at the moment the Stormers are that. They're one team, one dream, and they've got each other's backs.
Yeah. Look, I think obviously they've backed John Dobson, and he's returning the favor here. So to run through just the remainder of the games that happened, a 52-12 win for the Cheetahs over the Griffins. Nothing unexpected there. Again, obviously Griffins struggling to find their feet, moving up to the Currie Cup, and of course I won't read too much into it. It could have been a lot worse, I suppose. And the Cheetahs, look, everyone expects to drop the Griffins, and we won't read too much into that result, I feel. And then obviously the Griquas with a 48-40 win over the Sharks. What a game, first of all. An incredible match. And again, still a shock result. I mean, although it's a weakened Sharks team, we probably were expecting them to come out with a dub here. And well done to the Griquas, and I'm really glad to see them coming onwards and upwards. Are we anything from your guys' side? Are we totally bamboozled by this, or is it just okay? Well, it was an up in the air kind of game.
No, they were finalists last year. The Griquas. You'd think they'd still also be good this year.
Sure. I mean, we say that. I know we say that, but let's be honest. There's always these big talk from the unions and about how much investment they've got and the improvements that they've made and so on. And so you expect them to go, well, next year they're going to come out and absolutely stuff these Oaks, and it just hasn't happened.
No, I think the smaller guys. Chris. The guys like the Bulls, and I think the Bulls, the Sharks, and the Lions have young coaches as well now. Where the Griquas and Pumas have 2 coaches who've been doing it for years and years and years. So there is a thing of cohesion there, like we all keep mentioning. I don't think they've lost too many players, either of those sides either. Maybe winning the Currie Cup gives you a couple $100 to keep some players in your team, and that's just helped them carry on with their momentum this year.
Yeah, just $1 or £2 there. All right, so then I just want to quickly have a little look here, and let's just have a look. I had a chair before me now. I wanted to get towards our fixtures coming up from this weekend, but I seem to have. There we go. Okay, so coming up on this weekend, we've got the Golden Lions versus the Griffins. I don't think anyone will disagree with me when I say that the Golden Lions should comfortably win that. I'd probably say about, let's call it 20 points. 20 points more.
That's what the bookies have. So you're about spot on.
For once, good to know. We got the Cheetahs against the Bulls. I'm not too sure about this. I'm actually going to go with the Cheetahs on this one. Wes, any views on that? Cheetahs, Bulls?
No, I mean, it sounded like the Cheetahs had a good showing last week. Again, the Bulls, supposedly that shock defeat, so they'll have something to prove now. So I wouldn't, yeah, I'll be able to call it either way, except it'll be hopefully some great rugby.
Now, let me just remind you though that Bulls team, all of the big names that they flooded last weekend, are obviously now not available to them, are playing in the URC once again. So
Right, of course.
I think that Cheetah side will
But then-
be relatively unchanged.
But then I think
Okay,
the
yeah.
pool,
So then you've got an informed Cheetah side, but again, you could now then go with the Stormers approach of that sort of backs against the wall, nothing to prove, or everything to prove, nothing to lose. Look, I would never write off any team, even Italy, Reese. I know you hate it, but just I've been proven wrong too many times. So I still stand by it'll be a great game. If I were to put money on it, okay, maybe that would fall the Cheetah side of.
Yeah, I would also go Cheetahs.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, Wes still believes in Santa Claus, but
so I mean, you guys are, I mean, the bookies have the Cheetahs as 13, 14 points favorites, are quite heavy favorites. But I see the Bulls, though, they've got Smith, Mapu, Hendricks in the midfield there. So, but again, it's so random. You've got all this experience in the midfield and then unknown Oaks out wide and in the pack. And this is what I'm saying, like, you see these names, you think, oh, they're going to give them a run. But I think I agree with Wes. I think Bulls Cheetahs are not, they're often close games. I think the Bulls are going to be up for this. I think Cheetahs win, but I think the Bulls are going to give them a game.
sure, I'd probably agree with that. The Pumas and Griquas, again, probably the highlight
Final
game of the
replay.
weekend. I mean, how often do we get to say that? But
20,000 people at the stadium, eh?
yeah, no. But yeah, I'm gonna put my neck out here and probably say the Pumas by 10.
You're reading the bookies, Reza. You got your, you got your
he's got it
sheet in
open
front of
there.
it. He's just seeing the handicap. Yeah, but that's what the bookies have as well. It started at 10. It's gone down. Money's come for the Griquas.
Yeah.
I would be on the Griquas plus 10 there, but I think it's going to be a closer game than 10 points. In my
What can I say? Forever Sports hired me for a reason. You know, and then Sharks Province. I'm going to say that I think Province probably come out on top there, Rian.
Yeah, Province, they're just happy now. The Sharks also under a bit of pressure.
Yeah, 100%. So there goes our
And summer
preview.
games in Durban are crappy, so
100. Yeah, absolutely. So there goes our preview for the Currie Cup, and now we move on to the big one. And we do apologize if you're still with us and listening to what was an action-packed part of the weekend. But let's get on to the really exciting stuff. URC returns. I'm super excited, really stoked about it. I'd like to start off with a couple. We won't highlight all the games. I want to start off with what I think are the hottest ones. Let's go with the Stormers Leinster game, guys. Top of the log clash. It is monstrous. Let's get an initial reaction. I mean, both points. Okay, well, there are some differences here, though. We've got Leinster sitting with having played 15-1-15, Stormers having played 15-1-11. Although most people would probably say there's just not that much in it, though. Anybody want to take a bite at it?
Wes, you want to go?
Go is, yeah.
I mean, not much to say at that. I mean, again, just mouth-watering rugby. What more could you ask for? Again, I haven't been able to watch much of it, but we'll catch the highlights when I can. And yeah, both sides looking just firing really well. And so, yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait either. But I will point out that that this Leinster side are probably struggling a little bit more in terms of their personnel availability.
Yeah.
Obviously, Sexton is actually out with a groin injury, which he got over the weekend.
Out with a groin injury in Italy on holiday.
100%. And on the other side of that, we've got a slew of returning players to the URC coming back from the Bokke line, to the Stormers, from the Bokke line camp, from another avenues. Rian, what do we say?
Oh, the Leinster side, man, they're like a bunch of robots. How do you beat them, especially at home? If ever there was a side and a time to do it at their place, it was now. So I think the guys in the box and the team would be very up for this. They want to show the Irish sides they're not going to, especially Leinster, it's not going to be a free run to the title this year. They've had a bit of a coast. I think Leinster are playing most of the South African sides only now at the end of the season. So it's time to put a bit of brakes on their run. I think probably it'll be pretty even, and then the benches should come in. Where the picture I have doesn't have the benches. I think maybe the Stormers bench should be better.
Yeah,
and
it
I
is.
think
Yeah,
where it's going to be won or lost. I think that's where the Stormers might sneak a close one.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Stormers side, and Chris, I'll put it over to you in a second. We've got Clayton Blommetjies, Hartzenberg, Dan Duplessis, Damian Willemse starting at inside centre, Sonatla, Libok, Paul de Vet, and the big one for me, the return of Daimani, which is a big one. We've got Ben Jason Dixon at 7, Dion Fourie, Marvin Orie returns as well. Ruben van Heerden, who's been quite a performer, and then we've got what is one hell of a front row in Francois Herbert, Joseph Weber, and Stephen Kitzel.
Thing of beauty. Yeah.
It's a scary prospect for anyone. Do you think?
Yeah.
And do you think that the return of those players makes a big difference?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I was going to say. I wanted to make the points before the team news. Leinster were 10 points favourites, and on the back of the team news, it's down to 5.5, and we think it's going to go to 2. So, obviously, I mean, you look at the team, and Stormers fan myself, and the Leinster don't have all their top guns there. There was also a heavy weather report initially as well. Lots of wind and rain. The rain has left. I think there's still going to be a lot of wind, which unfortunately makes it a game of
the book doesn't
2 different
like
halves,
that.
right?
Yeah.
So that's a worry. That's a lookout, because I think, let's face it, South African teams still, even though it's the names, we don't really like to go up there in the north breezy Northern Ireland fields, and we don't really set them alight. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But this Stormers team this is what I mean. I think I've got some stats for you. I think like when this team plays, they don't lose. They haven't lost by more than 7 in like over a year and a half, and especially when Malherbe and Kitchell and Fourie and Willemse are on the park, they're like at an 80% strike rate. Like, they're just so tough.
I'm glad they're starting Fourie. They're always bringing him off the bench to try and save.
How is he? He's some guy, this guy. Hey? What a story.
Little bulldog.
So I still worry because it is Leinster, but let's not be surprised now. I think a lot of people, I know I've spoken to my Leinster mates who are going to the game tomorrow. They're nervous. They're a little bit nervous, yeah.
I hope Dweba has been practicing his darts in.
I sent a gift. I sent a gift today. Good luck, Joe. Thoughts are with you. Yes. Best of time when it's no wind. It's a struggle. So maybe the wind will blow it straight. Maybe it's a good thing.
Look, and Wes, just to catch you up as well, I think we've got a Leinster side who fielded what they call and what everyone called a second string side last season. Where the Stormers barely got over the line against them. I think it was 2013, something along those lines. And so I think they have a bit of a point to prove, Leinster, in saying, well, listen, actually, we could barely scrape against our second team back then. I think you're going to get a bit of a drubbing now. And my initial feeling is I don't think Stormers get over the line here. I'd be keen to see what you think, especially in conditions favouring them. Surely we've got to respect them more now. I mean, we've been called out numerous times as Box supporters and South African supporters that we can't seem to get past the facade that we are unbeatable or our best teams are the best. I think it's about time we maybe show a bit of humility, right?
Jeez. I mean, yeah, like I for me that's just so foreign. Like, I think anyone is beatable on any day, you know. So I think if you go into any game without respect, you are asking to be beaten. I think that was something consistently I found when you'd write off teams or whatever because you thought it'd be a win or what. You got your ass handed to you. So look, I'm all for an attitude of humility. I don't like to talk before the game, even during the game. I'm very happy to talk after the game, like in terms of, you know, once everything's on the field and the result is done and we've achieved what we need to achieve, then we can talk all the smack we want. But up until that whistle goes, like, let's just put in the work. Like, that's what's going to ultimately bring about the result, not going in there swinging things in the wind, but actually bloody, getting over the try line.
Throwing balls in the wind.
Very, very PC there from our
Yeah.
from our guest over here, which we appreciate. No need for it though. We're all very uncultured here. But yeah, I'd like to just say one thing though, is that I'm not saying that we should be writing the Stormers off necessarily. Just that they maybe deserve a bit more of our backing than we think. And Matthew Dixon
I
in the
agree,
comments
Reza.
saying the URC SA teams are going to win.
The Lions are getting dragged in the chat
Lions.
over here. I don't know what's going on.
Matty Dixon, you are exactly what I was talking about, buddy. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure we get over the line. I hope we do. And let's see what happens here. Sorry, Chris, I think it was you.
No, yeah, I was just saying, I agree with you. Like on paper, we should win, but I got burnt badly, and the win was the Rainbow Cup when we went there, and I had my South African hat on. The caps were like 27, and we got nailed. So I'm very hesitant, even with our best teams. I worry about our mindsets when we go over there, and they are definitely going to be up for it, no matter what team they're putting up there. I agree with you. Leinster going to win. It's a 3-point win to Leinster. But maybe we get lucky. I don't know.
All right. So, I'm so glad someone agrees with me for once. Goodness, it's so nice. It's so nice not having
Got to back you up there, man.
So yeah, I want to move on to, for me, and as a Lions supporter, move on to what I think is going to be a crucial.
Oh, what? I changed my mind. What, Lions? No. I'm joking.
We've got a Lions versus Benetton game. Both teams have played 15 games. The Lions with 7 wins, Benetton with 8. There's really not too much in it between them on paper, necessarily. I think that most people are probably leaning the way of Benetton, and I mean, I'm almost obviously not too surprised by that. The Lions have not been setting the world alight, and I really like their team on paper. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I just don't back them right now. Rion,
There's a stat that the team that gives us up the most post-contact meters in the ERC is the Lions. They give up 4 meters per tackle that they make, which is suicide.
Yeah.
Well, every time they hit, they fall down and let the guy run over them. That's been the issue. It hasn't been fixed. And Benetton, as far as I know, they are not resting their Italy players. Most of them are straight back in for this week. So it's going to be a long game for the Lions, I think. If it was at Ellis Park, we might talk, but Benetton in Treviso with most of their good players back, I think it's a Benetton easy one, that one.
And a pity about that, to be very honest. I wish I could say better things for the Lions right now, and hopefully we come back next week and we have better things to say. So to run through some of the other fixtures, which I'm not really too excited about, we've got Zebra versus Cardiff, which is a bottom of the table scrap at the moment, and well, sorry, Cardiff are not sitting 10th. Let me take that back. But to read you some stats here, Zebra have played 15 games, 0 wins, with a points difference of minus 306. And that's, to me, that's just ridiculous numbers, and that's something we can't be putting up. And we had this chat already about Italy in the Six Nations, and I throw my hands up and I say, point prove it, boys. Come at me.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna hold my tongue a little bit. Someone else can say.
Cardiff will win, but they also don't have their players. Right?
So Cardiff will, instead of 100, they'll win by 70. Gotcha.
No, the Zebra and Benetton spent more so definitely than Zebra. Are playing a lot better, but it's I've been in my punting circles. A lot of people punt the Italian sides. I can't do it. I don't give my money to Italian sides. I can't trust them at all, and I don't, and I won't. So I don't even. They're not a game I don't even watch a lot of their games, even when they're best African teams.
Yeah. Lovely, and there's obviously no reason for it. Wes, I'd like to chat to you a little bit about this. You have a bit of experience up in the UK, and maybe you have some mates who might have talked to you over the years about it. We've got an Ospreys versus Dragons game, which is truly a bottom feeder game. Ospreys and Dragons are both sitting in the bottom 4 of the competition with I think 4 and 3 wins between them. And unfortunately, if I look at the table here, we've got in 13th, 14th, 15th place, 3 Welsh sides, and barring Cardiff who are in 10th, all doing really poorly. And it's indicative of Wales rugby at the moment in general. But, geez, I mean, what's honestly, if you had access to it, you're in Botswana right now, so you probably don't. But would you watch this game?
Yeah, I mean, that probably says it all, doesn't it? Yeah, so I think it's really sad that that's the case, and that, as you said, the stats is really a shame about the Welsh sides being in the bottom, so that many. But it needs to get fixed, because the Welsh are such a pride people. I've been fortunate enough to spend some time there, and you just go into these villages and they eat, sleep, breathe rugby, and it's just part of who they are, culture, this, that, the next. So it's a real shame and a disservice to the nation that it's in the state it is at the moment. And so again, the club sides need to start getting, we can speak about funding and better, and I think that's what's happening at the moment. The talks with the Welsh Union and everything. So hopefully that gets up, and then I'll start watching those games. But it's just hopefully for them and their well-being and the nation's well-being. We speak about. I mean, we know it. We know when the Boks lose or play poorly or whatever, it's like the week is ruined. The weekend's stuffed. The week is ruined until we rectify it. And it's the same for these Oaks. And so hopefully they can get that sorted.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a pity. I believe Rion and Chris have we've set our part on this previously, and so one thing I will say is I think that there's maybe some talks over the coming years about a reduction in unions, which I believe somebody raised in previous weeks for them. I think perhaps they need to reduce the number of teams that they have competing at this level and just merge together. But something to consider. For the future.
Absolutely.
They shouldn't have to. That's
I agree, and I'm sure they said there's going to be civil war if that happens. I'm sure they're going to have fallouts there.
Yeah. Look, it's on practically speaking, sure. In reality, perhaps maybe not. We've got a Connacht versus Edinburgh game. I think Connacht probably take this, in my opinion, pretty comfortably. I don't know. Are we expecting any upsets there?
Nope, Connacht should take that one easily. Edinburgh have let me down. I thought they would be much better this year than they've been. They've really let me down. I think Connacht should take that. They didn't lose a bunch of guys. Aki and Hansen will probably not play, but the rest of their first choice guys should be there. And I see they signed Cordero today as well, so another little fast winger there. Don't know how long before he's playing for Ireland as well. Should be an easy one for Connacht at the dog track.
Lovely. And we've got a further game. We've got the Glasgow Warriors and Munster both sitting 4 and 5 at the moment. Barely anything in between them. I think that's probably another game to watch for the weekend, barring the Stormers Leinster game. Chris, what are we saying there? I'm sure. I don't know if you have the odds on you, but I'm sure there can't be much in it.
No, that's when you got a little bit wrong. The bookies are favouring Munster quite a bit. 12 points. Munster's for home form. As a better, it's a trend I've done. Had some success. Munster at home are solid. They put in 30-40 points most games against any opposition.
Name on his back.
Yeah. And like Edinburgh, like Connacht as well, home team solid. Edinburgh, Glasgow, these teams are very good at home to back, but away from home they could be anything. So it's a solid form line to back Munster. And I think Munster at home. I think I have actually called. I think that will be a closer game, but Munster will win between 7 and 10.
All right. Well, there we go. Perhaps an interesting one to watch there. So that's the weekend's URC games in a nutshell, and obviously the pick of them being the Stormers game. I'd like to talk a little bit about the Sharks, who. Let me just see here. Who I think I missed one.
They're playing the Scarlets away.
Scarlets. So that should be in theory a decent win for them. Although they've raised some surprises of late. So let me just bite my tongue a little bit.
Okay.
But
I think,
yeah,
I think Sharks at full strength, and before COVID, when they were winning Super 8, Sharks at full strength are actually a top 4 side, could compete. But as soon as they don't have the top players, they disappear into they just go. It's weird. So it just depends what team they put out, really.
I don't know. You say that. I've seen the Sharks side kind of chuck it with the biggest names that they have, and yeah, I think I'm not saying that that's going to happen this time, but I've seen it happen before.
I bet Sharks are difficult to understand these guys.
Yeah.
No, they're tough. I mean, remember was it Cardiff that absolutely trounced them at Kings Park, and then they went and and then they went and had a really good one. I can't remember who it was. They beat a massive like 3 weeks later. So they just, who knows.
All right, so Wes, let me get your thoughts on this. I don't know if you might have seen the news because obviously you're quite far away there, but the big news coming out is that Vincent Koch has been picked up by the Sharks, which is a huge boon for South African rugby. What a pickup. And it's been a bit of a weird reaction because teams like the Stormers, the Sharks, and the Bulls have picked up a number of international players of extreme quality, lured them back to South Africa, or alternatively kept them here, which has not been the going trend for a long time. Koch is still a massive name. He's still in the absolute prime of his career. And so that's a huge pickup. The Sharks, perhaps arguably, not arguably, actually, they haven't put out the results expected of a team that's been so heavily invested in. One, what's your reaction to Koch as a pickup? And two, why is it that South Africans are not quite so excited about the fact that we're actually able to retain our talent? It seems to have actually made us, in a sense, not worse, but it seems to be a bit like we can't seem to get all these superstars together in one team anymore.
Yeah, so let's start with the first thing. My reaction to that news is one of like joy, because I really don't like it. I get it and I respect it, and totally understandable when Oaks go overseas, because at the end of the day, money talks and they've got to provide for themselves and families. And
you did it yourself.
There we go. Unfortunately, yeah. Was it? Look, I mean, and maybe there it was because it was just so saturated here. But absolutely right. No, fair enough. But if we can get our boys back to be playing for our local sides, sort of the South African sides, I think, I don't know, that just fills some part of me, like some South African pride part, and it's just fantastic to see them here. I think it also helps, like, just, I don't know, if we're all playing the same, not style of rugby, because obviously all the South African teams will have different styles, but it's still South African rugby. And then for me, that just creates a greater cohesion when we get into the box, as opposed to potentially us being spread out all over the place and playing all these different styles. Now we can maybe use some of that, but I don't know. I really like it when we've got sort of our boys back at home and we've got these, just players, as you said, in the prime of their careers, and playing for local sides. In terms of the reaction, I'm not sure. I don't know why that seems to be the way it is. It's kind of a weird one, actually.
Yeah, I think it's kind of strange. My reaction has been, I look at the side and I go, holy hell! Like, what? I mean, what is going on at the Sharks? And the Bulls have a similar sort of reaction. I think the Stormers perhaps are doing better business locally, as well as picking up internationally. But between the Bulls and the Sharks, I'm like, one, fantastic for them. They've got all this money coming in and they're using it to pick up big names. I hope that it doesn't come at the cost of grassroots level development, one. And two, I hope that they're able to actually use these big names. I feel like they're so used to playing without them that it's not quite translating yet. They will get used to it. But I also worry that we've got, our English Premier team, like Leicester Tigers and all those kind of guys. You look at them these days and there's like hardly any English players in them. They're just saturated with foreigners. And because they're trying to pick up the best in the world. I wonder if when we start doing the same thing, even though they are our boykies and they are locals and we're bringing them back, when you pick up the best in the world, are you not just saying to everyone, well, we've got the money to do it, stuff everything else. We don't need to develop our own guys anymore. And then isn't that just going to restart the cycle of the guys who are sitting below them just going, well, we'll look somewhere else for guys who actually want to pick us up. Rion, Chris, I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that.
Well, Carlo Sardi and Thomas du Toit left as a swap for Koch. So, so they'll be gone now, getting developed somewhere else. And Koch is 33, du Toit is 27. So,
so well,
in the long term, Koch is worse because you're going to lose him after a couple of years, probably to retirement. But the other side of the coin is a prop these days can go to 35, 36 years old. He might not be in the box plan anymore, so they'll get a lot more out of him than they would Thomas du Toit, who's probably going to be with the box a lot more now. So they probably did their math and decided, no, we want someone we can play more often. Koch might, after the World Cup, not go to the box anymore, and then we can use him properly for 2 to 3 years. That might be the call they were making in the boardroom.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah. But just on a feeling though, I don't want to say that it's a terrible thing that we're spending our money, but I mean, I kind of enjoyed seeing the new up and coming names, and I know everyone moaned like, oh, Andre Pollard left in his prime and all these folks left and whatever, and I was like, initially it kind of sucks, and then you see a new talent come in and just tear up the scene, and he's the next big thing on the thing. I kind of enjoyed that, and I don't know, I wonder if it's going to hurt our development in the long run.
No, are you sort of talking about Koch going to the Sharks?
Not Koch necessarily.
Just in general.
Just in general. The fact that we're no longer losing players, we're bringing back players.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I don't know. It's a tough one. I mean, you can't buy experience and quality. You are buying, but you can't substitute that. And I think they will add value, and if that's how the Sharks want to roll, which it looks like they're going. Well, look, but then the thing is, look what Jake White, when he brought all the veterans back to the Bulls, did that help? I think they probably should have been blooding the youngsters. If you look at it,
the short term, they made the final, but now they're all left again.
I mean, prove me wrong at the end of the season when we've, possibly the Bulls and the Sharks are sitting there competing. But it's just a feeling that I have. I hope I'm proven wrong. I see Matthew Dixon.
Wait till you see. We're still not even getting revenue share from the ERC. Once the money starts coming in, you'll see a bit more coming in. Correct. We're only getting money from the ERC from next year. Right now, we're paying to be in the ERC, so it's going to change even more.
I see Matthew Dixon in the comments saying, I think the pipeline is still going to go strong. I agree with you. I do think the pipeline is going strong. I just wonder if they're going to be blocked out by the senior players who've been brought back from overseas. That's really my concern.
But remember last week we spoke about the value of the Currie Cup, and that's why I said that there is value in the Currie Cup. We need that second tier competition. I worry about calling it the Currie Cup because it's devalued the name of that beautiful competition. But that competition for these guys needs to be there and it needs to be strong. And that's where
I don't know why they made it now. Why didn't they do it later in the year? Why is the Currie Cup running concurrent?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Why did they just put it in its original dates at the middle of the year? I don't understand why they have to do it now. Call it the Vodacom Cup again or something now or whatever.
Right.
But
So as a final chat talking point, and I don't know. Again, I don't know, Wes, if you've heard about this. I actually want Rion to explain it to us a little bit because I've also only seen the headlines. Rion, walk us through this proposal for the North-South derby.
I haven't even read it.
Does anyone actually know what the hell they're trying to do?
It comes up every year. There's a World Cup. They want some world league to align.
Yeah. So I think it's one game home and away. So that it won't be a 3-match tour to one country. They'll play Australia, New Zealand through our summer, and then we'll go back and do the reverse there. And it'll end up there'll be 2 pools. The top 2 are going to play a final. Woohoo! Twickenham raise a trophy. We're all happy. And I think that's what the format's going to be, like an every 2-year cycle in between World Cups.
So who do you? I'm going to take a venture and probably say that this is something that's that the boys in New Zealand and Australia are proposing because their revenue is struggling without us in Super Rugby. Just my thoughts.
Well, that's what it's saying. It's a money thing, isn't it? That's what.
It sounds like a money thing. Yeah.
And Wes, if I could ask you, would you love to see, and I know it's something that's been talked about forever, but we just don't see enough of it. Barbarians is an example, but there used to be a World 11 type of game. I would love to see a South mix and a North mix, one-off game, maybe every 2 years or whatever the case is, chuck in the best coaches in the world to give them a session, put it at the end of the season. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like an awesome idea, but definitely not a one-off. Do it like a 3-game series, like a Lions tour or something, where you've got this all-star team and you've got the 3 games, and you make it a bit interesting, or even 2 if you want to do that. But it would be fantastic. I don't know where you slot it in. You know, you said, is it end of season? Is it every end of second season, or do you do it like a Lions tour every 4 years or something? But yes, it would be phenomenal to see some of the Southern boys mixing together, the Northern boys mixing together, and going head to head.
Yeah,
I agree. I think it'll be cool.
Yeah, very cool. So, guys, we've unfortunately been going for just over an hour and a half, and we thank everyone who's been with us for the entire duration. Wes, we would like to thank you for hopping on the show and giving us a little bit of insight into American rugby, and I would love to have you back sometime and just really get deeper into it, because we've only really scratched the surface about what we want to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Rion, Chris, thank you again for your time. Oh, sorry, I actually forgot to cover a segment here. My apologies.
Yeah.
Before we finish off here, Chris, as usual. Chris, would you run us through some of the big talking points on odds for the weekend?
As I was saying, unfortunately, when we go live, a lot of odds aren't published yet. You get some for Friday games, but not many for Saturday and Sunday. Unfortunately, we've got a lot of rugby, so I definitely would be able to propose more bets than I would have that I'm doing now. But I have dug out another treble for you guys for the weekend, starting tomorrow. Waratahs versus Chiefs. The line points are at 52.5, which I think is quite low in my opinion. I would have capped it at 56. So again, for the guys who are punting a bit of money on games, you know what you need to do is, if you need to cap yourself, be a capper as well. So you need to take on the bookie. So the bookie says it's 52, and you say you think it's going to be 56. Then you thinking that the bookies are 4 points short, and your bet will be over 52. You know, so that's how you try play the bookies. So for me, 46 is a low mark. It's 10 points less than what I think the game's going to go, quite confidently. So that'll be a leg. Then I've also got the Greek quiz. Like I said, the handicap is 10. It's moved down to 8. So the money is coming for Greek quiz. And I think Greek quiz keep this within 10 points. So the line points is at 10 for even money, or a little bit less than even for bookies take it or stake. But I'm taking more points for Greek quiz to 17.5 as another leg. So it's plus 17.5 Greek quiz points, with Waratahs and Chiefs over 46. And then to end off the treble, Highlanders at home against the Drua. I just think Highlanders, yes, have been poor, but I don't think they did all right. They did the job all right against Force last week. I don't see the Drua rocking up there and winning. I think the Highlanders have improved enough. I just think these Fijian teams, it's great to watch and great to see. I just don't think they're still really good enough to come to New Zealand teams and win. So I think Highlanders should win that by 10 more. And that treble will give us a 2.53 treble. As I said to you guys and the guys on the chat, if you are following, obviously tail if you wish, follow these, but obviously it's also to guide you. I don't want to give bets just for the sake of it. So if I feel strongly, I'll give them. So I'm very, very confident that this treble is another nice runner. We got the treble last week at 2.7 or 2.6. So this is a similar one. So let's hope this brings it home. And I think just in terms of betting, so we talk about stake. It's also important how much you bet. We talk about stake units, and one stake can be R1 to somebody, or 100 or 1,000, whatever it is how much money you have to throw to bet. You got to expect to lose, right? You bet responsibly, like don't bet more than you can afford. But at the moment, it's a 1 unit stake. So if your unit's R10, put a R10 on it. If it's 100, put 100 on it. And as we go through the weeks and we build this up, we'll keep a record. We'll start playing around with bigger odds and bigger units. But for now, let's get into it and build a winning record, build some some cash, and then we can see how we go.
Yeah, guys, thank you very much, Chris. We always appreciate your expertise on that forum. And yeah, guys, if you're interested, follow Chris along. Like he said, for the weeks coming, we will be keeping a record and putting up a little table as well, just to make it easier for you guys to follow. So you don't have to keep listening to it. You can actually just pause and see what bets that Chris has put up for the week. And so hop onto Bet.coza, and thank you to Bet.coza as well for the sponsorship. Boys, as I said, a very long one today. Thank you to everyone who's listening on whatever forum. We're very happy to announce that we will be adding every single Fan Forum show in podcast format to all the major platforms, especially like Spotify and so on. Yeah, we've fantastic, guys. Thank you very much. And Rian, Chris, we will see you again next week. We will be joined again by Stevie P. Unfortunately, if no jokes, we love Stevie P, and we're very excited to see him back. He's taking a well-deserved rest in the Kruger. And Wes, again, thank you very much for your time. We will see you again as well. Until next time, gents, have a great weekend.
Cheers,
everyone. Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sport. For today's guide on how to watch the 2022-2023 United Rugby Championship season, which kicks off this weekend. And as we all know, URC equals best league. And after a very up and down season in the inaugural season with a huge bang towards the end, I think it's safe to say that there is definitely a lot more hype and justified hype ahead of the second installment of what is fast becoming a very popular competition. And we saw that last year. It took a while for it to get going, and I think that there was some weird traveling. There were obviously international players who weren't really involved in the early rounds, but by the time we got towards the end of the competition, it really did heat up. And I think that the playoffs did deliver some sensational rugby, and obviously massive for two South African teams to be competing in the final, and the Stormers, who were definitely not anywhere near favourites of the competition, winning the trophy. So I think it added a lot of hype to the competition. I think the fact that we've got the Challenge Cup and the Champions Cup as well means there's a lot of incentive to watch the URC. But the big question is, how can I watch the URC? And what was very cool about last season is that there were a lot of different broadcasters. And within that, there were free-to-air broadcasts, which means that there were potentially games you could potentially watch for free depending on where you were in the world. Now, the broadcast situation hasn't really changed. So what we're going to be doing is, on a week-to-week basis, we will be doing a video on how to watch certain games, which games will be on free-to-air broadcast, how to watch SA games, how you can watch some of your favorite teams, stuff like that. But in terms of how to watch the season ahead, it all comes down to where you are. Or does it? Because if you use a VPN, which is a virtual private network, it basically can geolocate and make it seem as if your computer or your device is in a different location, which means you get access to different broadcasters. And that's how you can be sitting in South Africa watching a match for free on S4C in Ireland, or the BBC, for example, or TG4 or DAZN, and all these various different broadcasts where you can find cheaper options as well as free options to watch the rugby throughout the entire competition. So what you're going to do is you're going to download ExpressVPN, and when you install, it's going to come like this. And what you're going to do is all you do is you basically just click on the three little dots over there, and it'll pull up all the various locations. So you can connect to United Kingdom, England, Ireland, all around the world, and that will give you access to the various different broadcasts. In terms of the broadcasters for this competition, these are the broadcast partners. So as you can see, in the United Kingdom, it's Premier Sports, S4C, it's BBC, it's iSport, there's Sport TG4, in South Africa, it's SuperSport, in Italy, it's DAZN, America, ESPN, haven't confirmed Australia, I think it was Premier Sports last time. DAZN as well in Austria, Canada, Germany, New Zealand, the Sky, but there's also something called URC TV. So, for example, if you look at, if you go to the website, which is URC TV, you can look at individual matches and you can buy individual matches. So, for example, this is, if you want to watch the Lions versus the Bulls, you can watch just that match for $10, depending on where you are. Now, if you're in South Africa, you have to try and find a different location that is not included in one of these. Basically, URC TV works in any of the non-selected countries. So, for example, if you were to connect to an Argentinian server, for example, you should be able to access URC TV. I think that people could even access URC TV last year from America as well. And last year, you could get a season pass. We haven't seen just yet if that's going to be reintroduced. I think it will be. I think it did auto-renew for certain people. But basically, what you can do is if you go to the URC website, and then you go to live, and you can choose whatever game you want, and it'll show you exactly where to watch. So, for example, if we're looking at this weekend, we've got Ulster versus Connacht. So we've got an Irish derby, and so it's saying it's not being shown on URC TV. However, look where it is being shown. So it's being shown on BBC Wales, and it's being shown S4C, and it's being shown on BBC Northern Ireland. Now that means that, for example, this particular game, Ulster Connacht, you can go and you can connect a VPN to an Irish server, and you can watch S4C or whatever channel you want to watch, and you'll be able to watch it for free. So that is why I recommend GamesBase VPN. As I said, on a week-to-week basis, we will do videos on how you can watch the various games. It is quite expensive to watch sort of every individual game, but also you can look at the various broadcasts with different prices. For example, I think SuperSport and Sky New Zealand are one of the more expensive options. I think DAZN is a cheaper option, for example, in terms of a monthly subscription. You can look at Premier Sports. There are different options. You can look at ESPN. There are different options you can look at. Get yourself a subscription for the season, and then you don't have to worry about bootleg streams or illegal streams and stuff like that, which do get taken down, which can often give your PC all these various viruses and stuff like that. By using a VPN, you can watch all these games on official broadcasts, which means you're not going to have to worry about buffering. You're not going to have to worry about being taken down. And that's how you can do it. Let me know if you have any comments down below. As I said, get yourself a Space VPN. We're going to do videos on how to watch the Gallagher Premiership, Top 14, the Challenge Cup, the Champions Cup, all those things when we do start playing. So get yourself VPN. There's a special offer for Hair Sports members. So use the link down in the description below. And yeah, please do smash the like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven. I'll chat to you soon. Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. And as you can see, I wouldn't say on holiday. I'm away. I'm not in the studio, and as a result, I got a bit of a new look for today's or the next couple of previews and stuff like that, because I'm not currently at home in the studio. But more importantly, still delivering all the content. Benetton versus Lions this weekend. The URC is back in full force, and very interesting to see how some of the the Northern Hemisphere sides, the kind of teams they field over the weekend in what is just a week after the Six Nations has come to an end. Now, for some South African sides, a very important weekend. For the Lions, it is an important weekend, but it's more about building confidence. It's more about making sure they're getting themselves into a good groove to try and challenge for the Challenge Cup. They kind of URC ambitions have kind of come to an end, really can't do much more in the competition. But that doesn't mean that they can just fall over and die. As fans, we need to see something. We need to start building towards next season. For Benetton, had a good season, and they want to keep sort of that up. Before we look at the two teams, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. We'll start with the home side, which is Benetton, and obviously a lot of Italian internationals and an Italian international side, which is playing very well. So it should be quite a stern test for the Lions. So if we look at the starting lineup, you've got Naul Tetez as CMI, and then Simone Ferrari, who I thought was one of the top tight head props in the Six Nations. So a very big opportunity there, to sort of test yourself against one of the best when scrumming against like Simone Ferrari. They've got Nicola Canoni. The two Canoni brothers are starting. He's next to Riccardo Favretto. Canoni, once again, also become a mainstay in the Italian side. It's a very good loose trio. Giovanni Pettinelli, Manuel Giuliani, and Lorenzo Canoni is a top-class loose trio. They are missing quite a few players, a couple of international players who aren't available for Benetton, having a bit of a rest and stuff like that. So it's not their strongest side, but still plenty of decent players. And there, Duval Duvenacher, the former Stormers, almost legendary scrum half, will start and captain the side. He's next to Jacob Umaga in the halfback combination. Marcus Watson, Onisi Rotave are the two wings. Filippo Drago and Jacques Riera in the midfield. Matteo Minozo at full back. Off the bench from the men from Italy, it is Battista Berlusconi, Thomas Gallo, who's a very good operator there at loose head, Tiziano Pasquale, Federico Razza, who, I think he's world class. I think he's genuinely world class, not just from an Italian perspective, but just any sort of team in the world. I think he's really, really good. You then got Henry Sims-Slowers, Alessandro Garbizzi, who did start to play towards the end of the Six Nations for Italy, Giacomo Dore, and Marco Zanon. So plenty of international talent. And the team taking on them is as follows. This is how the Lions will line up. And it's a decent side. It's quite an exciting side as far as a Lions fan. I'm quite almost happy with it. Obviously missing quite a few players with some injury and stuff like that, but interested to see how this team does go. It is JP Smith, PJ Boyton, Asanati, and Claver Kanya, who's probably been our most improved player throughout the entire season. That is our starting front row. Then you've got Willem Alberts, Ruben Schoeman in the second row. Lots of bulk, lots of physicality. Really enjoying the fact that Ruben Schoeman is back. Brings a lot of work rate, and I think he's a very underrated lock, especially when he can get his discipline right. Sometimes can concede a few penalties and the likes, but if he's got his good boy shoes on during the day, then he can be a very effective second rower. Emmanuel Suka, Ruan Frenta, Franco Horn. What a loose trio that is. Jakob Creel not involved at 23, which is a bit strange, but very much enjoy that loose trio. I think Manuel Suka is a very athletic player, can get around the park. Ruan Frenta is just raw power. Franco Horn is the key to this Lions side. When he plays well, this Lions side just ticks. It ticks. He is the Warren Whiteley reborn, really, of this Lions side. So now in the Humber off the back of a man of the match performance against the Bulls next to Gianni Lombard. He needs to kind of step up. I'm a big Gianni Lombard fan. Hasn't been his best recently, and he needs to try and step up. Adolf van der Merwe, Russ Fafana, plenty of pace in those wings. Kieran Horn at full back. Morris Low captain side. Next to Manny Russ, who I think is he needs to prove something. I just don't feel he's quite good enough at this level, but at the end of the day, the only person that can prove me wrong is him, so he needs to really sort of stand up. Then off the bench, this is probably where it gets a little bit weaker from a Lions perspective. Mornay Brandon, Reinhard Reinsberger, and Ruan Andrea. Ruan Andrea, Springbok cat, but Mornay Brandon and Reinhard Reinsberger very much new into their career. Reinhard North Nachel making his comeback from injury, starting to sort of get back into things. It's good to see. Travis Gordon, the junior loose forward, being called up into the URC squad. Mornay van den Berg obviously had a lot of impetus in that sort of second half. Renard Jonker, who struggled a little bit in the last couple of weeks in the Currie Cup. And Anshkot Series actually playing his former side, played a season or two there at Benetton. So it's a game where I think the Lions can win, and I think if they string together a good performance, they could win. Benetton are favourites. They're at home. They're playing good rugby this season. They've been one of the top sides, and I think that they're growing. And if they can keep this group together, which is essentially almost like an Italian ace side, really, they could really challenge for the URC. Maybe not the URC, but could really challenge playoff places and get themselves quite far in the future. So interesting to see how it goes. But it's not a bad Lions side. As a Lions fan, I just want to see them pitch up and put a performance together. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Stephen. I'll chat to you soon.
Hello everybody, and you are now live with me. My name is Mark, and of course we are watching here Benetton versus Lions in this URC clash. I'm very glad to have all of you here with me. We're going to have a lot of chat. We're going to be watching the Lions, of course, take on Benetton, and currently holding a moment of silence before we get into the game. And do be sure to go and vote in the poll as to who do you think is going to win today's clash here in Italy. Of course, we are in the Benetton Stadium. And nonetheless, also do let me know in the comments who do you think is going to make the difference, and your thoughts about the game as well as we're watching. So very keen, of course, to get going here for this URC clash. It's been a while since I've actually been on a rugby stream. So to those who know me, of course, I'm back. Welcome back. Moment of silence is done, and we now are about to get going with the match. So very, very exciting. Of course, this is quite crucial for the Lions to win. Essentially, if they have any hope of trying to make the playoffs, they need to win this game. It's absolutely desperate that they win this game. They basically can't really lose too many games. There's not many games left, of course, right at the end of this season now, getting into the nitty-gritty parts. There's lots, of course, at stake for both teams. Just currently getting a couple of things set up my side. Just I've got it accessible, and Benetton is going to be kicking off for us, and we do indeed have the whistle going And yeah, we are underway with the URC clash. Lions received it within their 22. It's come out to Fenta, who drives it up a bit. And yeah, just sets it up the ruck, and I'm sure we will get a box kick here from Nohamba. And oh, he spilt it a little bit. He does go backwards, and it's actually unfortunately spilt it, and as a result, he had to rush his kick. And it went. It did go out, luckily, but not the greatest kick out of the lot. So only about 10 meters out of his own 22-meter line. So not the greatest escape there for the Lions. Benetton will have an early attempt at attacking that Lions try line. So just outside the 22 here, Benetton with the ball for a line out. They put the ball into the line out, and it's been stolen by the Lions. Well, I say stolen by the Lions. I think it's been knocked on by the Lions. Back to Benetton now. Benetton now rushing it up in the midfield. Good rush defense though from the Lions, and pushing them all the way back to the 10-meter line. Benetton still with the ball now, just carrying it through. Passing it now across the forwards. Still making tackles, the Lions on the 10-meter line. His defense is rushing up quite quickly. And there's now a bit of a gap in open play here. And they're just trying to close it off. They do well, the Lions, there to close it off there. But it's very, very offsides. I think we're not going to do it. There was one player offsides there, but very bizarre there from Benetton. They decided to kick it behind when they're like on the 10-meter line. And of course, went straight out on the full. So the Lions will have a line out right there from where it was kicked. And it will be Buerta to put the ball in for the Lions. So a bit of early defense there for the Lions, and an early win, as it were, in terms of mental wins required. Let's see how they do. Oh, they've completely stuffed up the line out, though. They've completely stuffed up the line out, as is very usual, unfortunately, with PJ Buerta there. Doesn't often go very well, these lineouts for the Lions. Sometimes with PJ Buerta, I mean, a completely mistimed throw. He was supposed to hold on to it, and everyone's looking at him very much like, what on earth were you doing? Yeah, not a great line out there for the Lions. So for all that they got a little mental victory in terms of the defense there and pushing Benetton back, they went and gave away their own possession again. We will have the first scrum of the game, and it's just inside the Lions half on their 10-meter line. And this will be a good indicator for the physicality of both packs for today. Benetton, I think, a little bit heavier than the Lions, I actually feel, or maybe in Klabakanye makes up that weight. Didn't get weight stats, unfortunately, but nonetheless, we're going to see how they do here. And Benetton are putting under pressure here. They put the ball in. The Lions are scrumming forward very nicely. It's popped up, though, not able to get the ball there. And the ball's come out. They chip behind Benetton on the wing, and it goes out just inside the Lions' 22-meter line. So they're going to have to, I think it's a Benetton throw, in fact. So it's going to be a Benetton line out inside the Lions' 22. So they're going to have to try and defend this quite early on here. So not the best start for the Lions that they possibly could have got, but I'm sure they will be happy to continue, and they should be absolutely fine. And we'll get the score up now. It's currently 0-0, and we will get that working for you, but it is 0-0, and I just want to make sure it's all working for you. It seems that it is just currently being a little bit slow, but Benetton are on the attack here inside the 22-meter line, and the Lions doing well to defend so far and not rushing up too quickly. Oh dear, there's a broken tackle, and the Benetton are all the way up to the 5-meter line, and they're now attacking it with great pace. There's broken play. Why didn't they get the ball away? They eventually shifted to the back line. It comes to the winger, but Lions rushed defense and managed to get across. My word, doing very well. Now holding him up, potentially causing a maul. I think the maul has been called. And the Lions do brilliantly to defend that, absolutely brilliantly, on their own 5-meter line. Benetton almost stuffed it up there. They had a lot of broken play, a bit of space on the wing there. Got to the wing very quickly, though, and Lions managed to smother him up and, managed to hold him up as well and cause the more penalty, and more free kick, rather, to the Lions. So it'll be a scrum to the Lions now, which is very well done, of course, there for the Lions there. Scrum is done by the Lions there, and it's going forward quite nicely, but Benetton are coming back at them, so they're going to have to make a decision now. And they take it out there. Comes to Russ, who's still trying to go forward, not able to make too much ground, but does well enough to get his team behind him there. The ball is still with the Lions. They kick it forward now, and it's not out. So it's still Benetton, all Benetton's possession basically at the moment. They run all the way back to pretty much to the Lions 22 before getting a heavy tackle. And I believe Schoeman's over that. Great steal there from Ruben Schoeman. Apparently not. Apparently it's a penalty against him. I think he wasn't supporting his body weight, was what the refs claimed. But I think this is a very harsh decision. Oh, no, I think it's not running away. I think Schoeman did well to get over, but unfortunately, PJ Buerta did not roll away quick enough. So, yeah, not going to be able to have an effect there. And I do apologize right now. Our match tracker will get up to date right now. It's just currently, it's just currently waiting a little bit. I don't quite know why it's not updating yet, but I will try and get that fixed as quickly as possible. But nonetheless, I'll tell you the scores otherwise. It's currently still 0-0. However, Benetton are currently just on the Lions line, literally 5-meter line, with a line out to come. And the maul is set by Benetton, but they take it out quickly. And it's a poorly done pass, and it's eventually kicked forward by the Lions after a bit of a spill there from Benetton. And Lions have rushed all the way up to just about halfway into the middle of their own half. Benetton still have the ball, though. 7 minutes into this game now. Lions doing well to defend so far. Benetton not able to get through this Lions defense as of yet. And Klabakanya with the tackle now in the midfield. Benetton still coming forward, making a little bit of ground now, and trying to shift it out to their backline. The backline's got space. It shifts to the wing early. Early defense here required from Horn. Horn does make the tackle, but so does Van der Merwe with his legs. So that was lucky, I think, there, because Van der Merwe actually went for the tackle on the original player on the wing, and then takes out the Benetton player by mistake. Technically, I think that actually should be an accidental penalty or free kick to Benetton, because you can't make the tackle off the ground like that. But nonetheless, it will be a line out to the Lions. So, yeah, Lions there doing well again to win that defensive battle there. And, yeah, again, we will try and get this live tracker working. Unfortunately, it's not down to us. It's down to the external link right now that's not quite working as of yet. We will wait for that to hopefully start working. And you will then get the live match tracker, of course. It is still currently 0-0. So don't fret too much. There have no scores have been happening yet. And yeah. But Yaku here saying hi. How's it, Yaku? Hope you're well. Yeah. And PJ Buerta now with a second attempt for this line out, second line out for the Lions in this game. Hopefully this one can go better than the first. Indeed, I was going to say it does, but Benetton have stolen it after the spill, and then they've stolen and they've spilled it as well. I think something's happened in the background here that they're going to come back for. Yeah, indeed, we are going to come back, I think, for a knock-on from Benetton, I believe. Yeah, indeed, a knock-on from Benetton. So they'll go back for a scrum to the Lions, just outside of their 22, or just inside their 22, rather. So still Lions under a lot of pressure. Haven't gone into the Benetton half once yet. All the territory is in the Lions half. So Lions doing a lot of defending right now, not able to actually form any form of attack yet. And I'm sure as soon as they get this ball out the scrum, they're going to have to kick it forward. Nahamba will probably pass it out to Gianni Lombard, who will then likely kick for the line. Could probably get about halfway, and then the Lions will just continue to defend at this point in time. Lots of defensive work required from the Lions at the moment. Lions with a big scrum. Ball is available nonetheless. Passes out to Gianni Lombard, who then passes off to Russ. Russ is now running forward. He's got a bit of a gap. He finds Horn. Horn does get taken down. He passes back to Russ off the floor, and Russ chooses to take it into contact and gets taken down outside the 22. So Lions with the ball still just outside the 22-meter line, and Nahamba gets taken out, so it will be a penalty to the Lions. He gets taken out there playing the scrum half, so Nahamba now has time to kick for the line, otherwise he might well pass it off to somebody else to kick it as far forward, and this could potentially be the first attack for the Lions. So the Lions, in the first 10 minutes of this game, managed to hold Benetton out of their try line. We're just getting into the 10-minute mark now, about 30 minutes away, and I'm sorry, 30 seconds away, and we really do apologize. The score will come up ASAP as soon as the website that we use gets up to date, and so that the live tracker can start working for that. But I will update you on scores, of course, as we go. It's currently still 0-0, and we've just hit 10 minutes in this game. So PJ Burton now with the ball in hand, ready to put the ball in. He has put the ball in the first clean line out for the Lions today, and they're now trying a backline move. It's very, very flat. I think they just timed their runs quite not quite as perfect as they probably should have. And the Humber still with the ball just inside Benetton's half now. It's the first time the Lions have got the ball inside Benetton's half. And running forward now is Fenter. Fenter gets taken down. The Humber now passes out wide. It comes to Skuman, who's running forward with great tenacity. Nahamba does have to get the ball out there after he's been tackled. Now it comes to Willem Alberts. Nahamba passes back out. It comes to Johnny Lombard. It's now the back line. Passes out to Russ. Now McClane there. Benetton trying to get over there. Nahamba still with the ball here, just out in front of the 10-meter line for the Lions here inside the Benetton half. And Klabakanya gets the ball. My word, he suddenly forms part of the back line. Fantastic work to see. Somebody there asking, is Justin saying, is Henke van Veek playing? He's not, but the Lions are currently on the attack. Rams McClane there having to go over, and Ruck. Nahamba passes the back in to PJ Burto, then passes to Fenter. Very flat ball. Fenter does hold onto it though very well. Nahamba now receiving the ball from that Ruck. Chooses to try and chip in behind, or rather grab her in behind. McClane is chasing. It's quite a good kick. It's going to do lots of work here, Benetton. McClane does brilliantly to hold him on the try line, which means that there will be a Lions 5-meter scrum. It's a fantastic. I don't know if they're trying to debate whether or not the Benetton player was over the line when he picked that up, but a fantastic chase there from Robs McClane there, doing very well to utilize that kick. And indeed, it is going to be a scrum to the Lions because the Benetton player did drag it over the line, in which case, yeah, it will be a Lions scrum on the 5-meter. So hopefully an early opportunity for points here for the Lions. They had good attacking intent there in that piece of play just beforehand. Although the ref is just going off somewhere. I don't quite know what. I think there might be an injury somewhere in the back field of play here. Yeah, indeed it is. It is to Skuman, I believe. Yeah, it's just down temporarily, but he is back up. And yeah, just as a reminder, yeah, we will get our scoreboard working. There's just currently, unfortunately, it's not only our problem, it's just a genuine problem at the moment. It's still 0-0 at the moment, so don't worry about that. We are 12 minutes into this game. And the Lions with a scrum here. Nahamba puts the ball in. It's not really moving anywhere. Nahamba's going to have to take this ball out now. And he does take it out. Passes it off to Johnny Lombard. He tries to play it to Russ. He tries to run through the midfield. Not able to. He's being held up right now. Benetton doing very well to hold him up. He's not getting his legs down. And they have held him up. I do believe a maul has been called. In which case, this is going to be a Benetton scrum should it go down. I think Benetton have actually indeed stolen the ball. Benetton have stolen the ball. And they've kicked it now behind the Lions. And will it go out? It does bounce once, bounce twice, and it's a fantastic exit for Benetton. Poor from the Lions there to allow that more to form off of Russ's charge there, but fantastic kick there from Benetton to get completely out of danger, all the way back into the Lions half. And I'm just going to literally put the score over here. Do apologize. I'm just going to put that in over there. There we go. We have our scoreboard is working now, finally. Yeah, so our scoreboard is indeed working, finally. I don't know why it's so delayed. But nonetheless, we will try and see if that fixes anytime soon. Lions now moving forward on the halfway line with Nahamba. He kicks it behind now. Box kick there. It's a great chase from Rubs, but Kane there, unable to get to the ball, but does make the tackle. Benetton now with the ball, of course, after that kick from Nahamba. And it will be another box kick from Benetton now. And they kick it forward. It goes into the Lions half. It's going to be fielded by Horn, who gets under it. He's gets taken out in the air. The ref's going to have to call something here. He gets taken out in the air. I think it was actually John Lombard who went for that ball. And yeah, the ref has just called time here. And we're going to make sure that the player's all right. But as technically taken out in the air, Johnny Lombard goes up. I think this will just be a penalty only for taking the man out in the air from Benetton. So Lions will get a penalty for it and will hopefully kick it deep into the Benetton half. Indeed, yeah, will be a penalty to the Lions for taking the man out in the air. And, the Lions will try and form an attack again from this line out they'll get. We are only about 14 minutes into it. I know the scoreboard is currently very much incorrect. We are trying to update it and hopefully just fix that up there, because it is a little bit behind, if I'm honest. I'll try to fix it as best we can. On the Lions with the ball in the attack. They're inside the 22-meter line. They're passing it through the back line. Tackle has been made just inside the 22 here. Nahamba fielding this ball now. Passes off to PJ Buerta, who passes backwards to Johnny Lombard, who passes out the way to Horn. Horn passes to Fenter. Fenter's trying to run himself. He's got to go there all the way pretty much. He's just stopped on the 5-meter line. He did make a lot of ground there. Edward van der Merwe doing very well to get over and ruck there. Now the forward's trying to drive it on the 5-meter line here. Nahamba still with the ball, trying to see who's going to pick out. He picks out Chituka, who fends off one and then goes again. Great little work there. Nahamba now going the blind side. Pass off to John Lombard, who tries to go himself, but it does get taken down. There we go. Our scoreboard has now fixed. There we go. Cool. We are now all updated. Nahamba now trying to get this ball out. Waiting for it now. And yeah, Klabakanya now gets the ball just on the 5-meter line here, the Lions. And there's an offsides penalty to the Lions, so the Lions can play with a bit of freedom, except for the fact they didn't decide to knock it on in that tackle. So they're going to come back to the penalty right in front of the post. And if the Lions have any desires to get straight into the lead in this game, they'll want to take this kick. Otherwise, they might opt for a scrum. Scrum penalty, obviously, is right in front of the post, it's basically on the 5-meter line. So PJ Buerta, they're just chatting to the ref. I don't quite know what about. And the Lions are going to go for posts. They're going to go for the penalty. Nahamba's got the ball, and he will slot it over, hopefully, for the first points of the game. The Lions will go into the lead in Italy against Benetton. Benetton, after all of that... but yeah, after all of that early pressure from Benetton, the Lions are now probably going to put themselves in the lead after this kick. Nahamba now just waiting to get it forward here. And we've got a comment here from Danston Daniel saying Lions to win. And he's also saying, can someone tell me, is Jordan Hendrickse coming back? Or when is Jordan Hendrickse coming back? It's a good question. I would like to see him back. I don't actually quite know. I will try to find out for you. But at the moment, yeah, he's not playing and he's not available. But the Lions are in the lead now, 3-0 after a successful conversion from Nahamba. And yeah, we will continue now. Benetton restarting this match, and they do kick from left to right, and the Lions are going to receive it. It looks like Fenter's going to get the ball here. There's something in the try line. It's something that's going to be talked and needs to be seen to. There's something currently just chilling inside the field of play there. Bit bizarre. But the Lions get that kick, receive the kick there from the restart and kick it straight out. It's about in their 10-meter line. Not the best exit, but certainly not the worst. And Benetton will have another opportunity to try and go at this Lions line. It's not a very straight throw, but nonetheless, ref says carry on. Benetton now coming forward. Lions doing well to make that initial tackle in the midfield. Benetton coming forward again, trying to utilize the back line. There's big gaps opening up here. Horn's going to have to make a decision. Makes a brilliant decision. Makes the tackle, wrapping his arms around the ball so he can't get it out. So does well there. But ooh, massive hit from the midfield there from Nklabakanya and Smith there. Brilliant tackle from both of them. Almost an intercept there from the Lions captain. Unable to make it stick though, however. But almost a brilliant attempt there. He saw it early and he tried to go for it. And then, yeah, unfortunately, couldn't make it stick. But certainly not a deliberate knock-on. I think he saw that very early. But we're looking at this tackle again from Craig Horn. Great tackle. So it will be a scrum to Benetton inside the Lions half. Pretty much more or less in the middle of this field. Just off the 10-meter line there. Yeah. The Lions seemingly looking like the stronger scrum at the moment, but it's very even. It's very even. But Lions getting a little bit more forward in most of the scrums, getting a little bit more purchase, but not anything enough to overturn the scrum or at least create a penalty. They've got a much better hit this time, though. The ref has, however, called it and said it's not a stable scrum, so they're going to have to go back again. And yeah, if you guys are watching, do let me know where you are watching from. Of course, always very keen to know who is in the comments. And be sure to let me know your thoughts on the game so far. We do have our score all fixed up here. And what do you think is going to happen today? Not just in this game, of course, there's other games. And I'm going to be doing the Sharks game later as well. They're playing the Scarlets. So that'll be an interesting game as well. So, yeah, be sure to let me know. We are halfway into the first half. 20 minutes into this half of this URC clash. And Benetton are putting the ball into the scrum now. And let's see. Set. The scrum is set. And it comes straight out. As I said, scrum's barely moving. Now, Humber misses a tackle, but Fenter's there to regather. So no problem at all there. Benetton now coming forward. They've got huge numbers on the left. Lions need to really spread this defense as quickly as possible. But Kleine makes the decision. And, oh my word. And Horn, I think, has received the ball. I mean, they tried to kick it in behind there, the Benetton player, but Horn caught it. It was caught it straight away. It was quite brilliant. Tried to grab it, and Horn manages to catch the ball. And then, unfortunately, gets tackled out. But does well there to stop Benetton getting through. So it does initially it does very well to catch the ball and stay infield, but then unfortunately, as soon as he starts going again, the Benetton players come across and tackle him out. He was very close to that line. Lions now having to defend a maul here from Benetton. It's already an advantage to Benetton. I think Lions tried to go early, so that took him out whilst he's still in the air. So Benetton can play with as much freedom as they want now, with an advantage inside the Lions 22. And Benetton still trying to come forward here. It's a bit of broken play. The ref might well call it back here. The Lions players were over it, but he's not going to call it back. Still an advantage to Benetton, or at least he's maybe signaling a new advantage. Benetton still coming forward here with great pace. Lions still doing quite well to defend. This line is not breaking so easily, but unfortunately they do have an advantage against them right now. And Lions are making these tackles, and it's very broken. The ref's still letting this play. Oh my word, there's a big gap, and he's gone through. Easy as that. The Lions defense suddenly crumbles right at the last minute. It was all working perfectly fine, and now Benetton get themselves a try. But the ref was really quite involved in that piece of play. It came off his shoe there. His first try of the game goes to Benetton. I mean, the Lions' defense was working so well, and then suddenly Benetton, or Joaquin Vieira, just runs across the line and then decides to just run through a gap. He literally just runs sideways, works past. Let's see how many players he goes past. 1, 2, 3, and then he just decides to go through the gap. There was a gap that suddenly formed up, and he just chose to go and dive through there. Poor from the Lions after being quite decent in the defense there. Oh my word, very poor from Chituka and Smith. Both of them thinking that he was going to keep going, and just decided to take both of them on through that gap. And yeah, as easy as anything, just run straight through, scoring the first try of the game with the conversion to come. poor from the Lions, if I'm honest, not to have to make that tackle. It's very, very poor from the Lions. After defending so well, really, really basic error. And yeah, the conversion is made. So the score currently sits at 7 points to 3 in favor of the home side, Benetton. And yeah, this game is now starting to heat up a little bit. There's gaps starting to form. Benetton finally do have purchase after going forward for ages. It took them a while to get these first points. They had been the better side this half so far, and now deservedly in the lead. Johnny Lombard restarts. It's the deep restart. And Benetton's Duvanaga, of course, South African, does opt for the kick. He is the captain, of course, as well for this Italian side. And he does put the ball out just inside his half still, but by round about the halfway line. So a good kick there for Benetton. And Lions now with the line up to come. BJ Burton now with the ball in hand. Yeah, Lions lineouts haven't been brilliant so far today. And again, not very good, but it works. It's fine. We'll go with it. And the Lions spreading it through the line very quickly. Comes to Russ, who gets taken down, still around about the halfway line. Now comes out to Johnny Lombard, and Edward van der Merwe's got a bit of space here, and it's chipped in behind. Edward van der Merwe's chasing, it's bobbled up. Edward van der Merwe's managed to collect it. He passes it infield to, I think, the supporting players. Chituka, I'll have to see. Does very well, Lions, now currently in the 22-meter line. They're passing it through. They've got huge numbers on the right. Can they spread it quickly enough? They do spread it quickly. Oh, it's soft hands, but Rubs Mapane unfortunately gets a very slow ball to him and has to get taken down. Luckily, Lions are there to support. So it's still ball in hand for the Lions. They're inside the 22. Comes to him. Klabakanyo does very well to pick up what wasn't a brilliant pass from Nahamba. But nonetheless, he passes out to Chituka, who tries to find his captain there. And the captain loses it on the floor. And Benetton now can counter-attack. Edward van der Merwe is going to have to try and make this tackle here. He does indeed make the tackle and almost taking them out. But now Lions are trying to fend off. They've passed it infield. And they've grabbed it across infield. This could be a great try for them. Lions are still chasing. The balls eventually come there. And it's brilliantly well done by Alberts to just pick it up after the, oh my word, broken play. And just struggling to keep up there. Alberts eventually runs all the way back and the Benetton player tries to offload it off the floor on the 5-meter line to who was completely open. And then Alberts does brilliantly just to come back in time to intercept that ball. And I think actually the Benetton player caught this before he went out, in which case, because the Lions just kicked it out now, in which case it should be a Lions line out, I think. Just watching this here again, he just grabs it infield, Benetton there, and it's a great chase. And then as it goes down, he tries to get the ball out and then does very well with Willem Alberts to just get in between the player and the pass there and gets the ball and then intercept to stop the try being scored. But now Benetton are coming forward. It's a great backline move and it's going to come out. It should be an easy try and it is an easy try again. Lions defense is just crumbling at the moment. The try is scored from Benetton, but he seems to have hurt himself in the process here. It is, I believe it's Watson. It is Watson. He seems to have hurt himself in the process. He's gingerly getting back up. Marcus Watson of Benetton scoring on that left-hand side in the corner there after that move from the line-out. They just seem to find the gap so easily there, Benetton again. Yeah, Lions, unfortunately, not doing themselves any favors this half so far. Again, they desperately need to win. And yeah, shocking to have allowed that piece of play to result in the try. They're so far away. The defense should not have. The Lions need to wake up. Basically, Lions desperately need to wake up right now. Nonetheless, conversion to come for Benetton. It's quite a difficult one. It's right in the corner. Steps up for the kick. And it's a good kick. It just fades in last second, just comes back in. And he does make the conversion. So it is 14 points to 3 in favor of the home side, Benetton. Jacob Umaga there with the conversion. So Lions find themselves now down 11 points behind Benetton. So lots of work for the Emirates Lions to do. Klabakanya there looking like he's been in the wars a bit, but will continue. What a great player he's turned into, and I think people have finally forgiven him for the look he's got, because people always tuned him as to be fat, but I mean he gets around the way the field. He's a really, really, really good player, and I've always backed him, and finally getting the recognition he deserves. And he does now go over for the turnover, and he makes the turnover. Oh, isn't that just brilliant when you're talking about a player, and then they just go and help you out for that comment as well. Now, just going and reiterating the fact that, yes, I am correct. Brilliant turnover there. After the restart, Lions kick it deep into the 22 there and make the tackle just on the edge of it. And Klabakanya goes over and makes the turnover. So the Lions get a penalty. They do kick it out now for a line out right on pretty much the Benetton's 5-meter line. Oh, brilliant. And Klabakanya doing myself a commentator's dream there. Yeah, thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. So PJ Burton now with the ball, and he will put it into this line out. Hopefully. And the ball goes in. No challenge from Benetton. They set up the maul. It's a very well set maul. It's moving forward at rapid pace. Trying to bring it back in. But it's trying to go, it's wavering very, very close to the touchline. Will they get the ball out? They do indeed. And Klabakanya is just trying to hold it at the back there. Now he's moving forward. He's a big unit. He's trying to wait for his maul to get set up again. Now the maul's reset and waiting for players to go and join in. And they're all joining in now. Willem Albert's trying to get involved at the back. He joins and tries to move them forward. It's not quite going forward as much as they need to. And I think the ref's going to say to get it out. But it's broken away now. And the Lions are still moving forward. It's within 5 meters now. Will the ref allow this to keep going? And it does eventually get brought down. And the Lions are going to have to try and field this out. Nahamba with the ball. He's going to pass it to Fenter. Fenter's going to run forward as hard as anything. As hard as nails, Fenter's going forward. He's going to be brought down just in front of the line. Nahamba now with the ball. He shifts it out. And Quaid Horn goes over for the try for the Lions. Great piece of rugby there. Oof, it's tripping over my words here. Great piece of rugby there from the Lions. And he does go over for the first try of the game for the visiting side. Quaid Horn with the try. All the work done by the forwards there. And Cranhorn then just finishes it off there once the ball eventually finds its way out after Fenter's rush up there. Yeah, Benetton just could not set the defensive line up quick enough. And Cranhorn chooses a very good line and goes over for the first try of the game for the Lions. So with the conversion to come, it's literally almost right in front of the post. Should be very easy for Nahamba. And that will make the score 14 points to 10. Indeed, there you go. 14 points to 10. Lions coming back into this game now. The game is about to get restarted here by Benetton. There's a very good crowd that's gathered here today for the last home match for Benetton, of course. And this restart has gone straight out. Indeed, actually, what's happened there is Fenter's decided to pick up the ball. Fenter put his foot on the touchline there from the restart there, and he caught the ball with his foot in touch, which means there's now going to be a Benetton line out inside the Lions 22. So Lions, as per usual, doing themselves no favors after scoring points, and immediately now conceding what is a very attacking line out for Benetton as they put it in. They set up the maul. The maul is moving forward, still moving forward. So the Lions are going to have to try and stop this maul. It's now trying to turn, and they're going to have to come back around. And it does stop now, so the ball's going to have to come out. Ball does come out, and there's a big obstruction there from Benetton. So the Lions survived that there, but I think there was an advantage to Benetton already. Yeah, for Smith. Smith came into the maul from the side. So it's a penalty to Benetton still. And I'm sure they'll kick it out here on the 5-meter line and try and maul it over. Their maul has seemingly been quite successful so far. So they will likely go over for a third try if this is a decent line out. Lions going to have to do lots of defense here to try and stop this try from being scored. We've just got about 7 minutes left until halftime. Ball goes in from Benetton. It's very well done. The maul is moving forward. Can the Lions stop it? It's temporarily stopped, but now starting to move forward with great pace. It's stopped now again. And no, this ball's going to go over. Try scored. There you go. Benetton go over. Lions are unable to stop them. As I said, the maul from Benetton's been looking quite strong today. And they do go over for the third try of the game for them, which should put them up to 19 with a conversion to come. Hopefully putting them, well, not hopefully, but for their sakes, hopefully putting them on to 21 points. Lions still needing to find their way into this game. Not as successful and not looking as good as they possibly should be in this game. And of course, don't be shy to go and check the description of the video to go and see how you can watch URC live from wherever you are in the world. And not only that, but be sure to comment. Let me know where you're watching from, what your thoughts on the game, as I say so far. Be sure to like the video as well and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Yeah, I'm Mark. I will be here again for the Sharks game later. They're playing Scarlets. Big game that, of course, for the Sharks. They need to win. Benetton here with the conversion to come. And again, a good kick. He's been kicking very well today so far, Marga. And yeah. So Lions doing fantastically well to put themselves behind, essentially. Their Fenter there is failing at the restart, allowing Benetton to have an attacking line out, which resulted in this entire piece of play happening. So Lions need to sort of wake up now and hopefully get an attacking line out of their own. Restart is done by Gianni Lombard. Benetton receive it, and they've exited relatively well. Just outside the 22-meter line there. Again, be sure to go participate in the poll to see who's winning this match. And yeah, Benetton did kick it forward into the Lions' half, and Crane Horn received it and did very well to get all the way back inside the Benetton half. Now Lions with the ball in hand. It comes to Edward van der Merwe, who's found himself in about the center position, tries to dart for a gap. It's unable to make it stick. Now Fenter dives a line. Great running line from him. He makes good work there. How can that turnover be good? He's playing it on the ground, ref. Absolutely shocking decision from the ref. But he's allowed it to play on. But as per usual, URC refs are so useless that, you know, whatever. Lions eventually bring down Benetton, who are just outside their own 22 now in terms of Lions 22. And now I've got lots of space to try and find in broken numbers. There's a couple of obstructive runs there being made. Craig Horn makes the tackle again. Does very, very well so far. He's probably the Lions' best player so far, also with the try behind his name. And Ras McLean is just going to have to run this ball out just in front of his line here after the kick forward from Benetton. But if anything, this is a shocking decision from the ref, because how on earth could he have allowed that entire piece of play to unfold? Literally was stolen on the ground from Benetton, playing the ball on the ground, completely illegal. And you do have to wonder how on earth they allowed that to happen. Just watching a replay here, he tries to go over the ball, goes off his feet, and then just shifts the ball back. You can't, I mean, it's a shocking decision from the ref. Absolutely shocking decision from the ref. It's not supporting his body weight. He goes down, then he goes down, and then just decides to pick the ball up and just pass it back in. Shocking, shocking decision. Nonetheless, Benetton are now got an attacking line out right on the Lions' 5-meter line, and it is a skew throw, so justice a little bit has been served in terms of saving the Lions there from having to try and defend. Another more from Benetton, which has been good so far, but this ref really, really, really need to question him. Just about 2 minutes left of this half. Can the Lions score a try just to put themselves into a better position going into the second half with everything to play for? Now, Hammer tries to kick far forward, but it doesn't even go out. So Lions continue with mistakes here. And Benetton now shifting the ball out wide. And they're trying to find gaps. They have found a gap, but a huge hit there from Fenter. Well, attempted huge hit. He doesn't quite get him properly, but he does make a tackle nonetheless. Lions now. This Lions defensive line is fading, and there's found the gap here, Benetton. It's through the locks. He tries the fanciness. And I'll tell you, Benetton should be more points up, but the only reason they're not is because they keep trying to do stupid things on the ground. And Lions do come away with the ball. But it's a penalty now to Benetton for, I don't quite know what, but Benetton do get the penalty just outside the Lions 22. Lions not doing themselves any favours at the moment. Yeah, I was for turning. There's holding on there from Benetton. So yeah, very well done there by the Benetton players. But nonetheless, they should have scored a try. They pretty much butchered their pretty much clear try scoring opportunity. But they still come away with it. And will now kick for the Lions line yet again just before the end of this half. Can they score a fourth try before half time and really make this a difficult game for the Lions, who obviously find themselves 11 points behind. Again, if Benetton should score here, they'll find themselves 18 points behind, and that makes it a 3-score game. So that's going to be quite difficult for the Lions to go into the second half for. So lots of work required in the second half for the Lions, and the biggest thing is they need to try and get into the second half with only an 11-point gap. That's doable. But they're going to have to defend this maul now, which has been set, but they take it straight out, Benetton. They stuff it up pretty much, and it is a forward pass, so the Lions will get a scrum pretty much there. I don't know why Benetton didn't take it into the maul. It makes no sense to me. The maul's been working all day, and they tried something different, and it didn't work. I don't understand. It's very weird. Why change what's working? Yeah, nonetheless, Benetton stuff that up, and it will be a scrum to the Lions just outside their 5-meter line. With, of course, just the hooter going pretty much now. That is the first half of this game done. So the Lions will try to win the scrum and surely kick the ball out and just get it into half-time. There's no ways they're going to run the length of the field. Now, but with the ball in hand, crouch has been called. Bind has been called. Set. Scrum is underway. Now, Humber puts the ball in. It's not really moving the scrum. No team is getting a big favour. Now, Humber's getting the ball out, and he will surely pass it infield, apparently. And then Gianni Lombard will kick it out for half-time. That is the half. Benetton find themselves 21 points up. Lions only on 10 points. And, yeah, lots of work to do for the Lions in the second half. And also, yeah, they just need to get more possession. Benetton's been doing all of the rugby. The Lions have been defending most of the half. That's quite tiresome after a while. And, yeah, a couple of poor defensive errors resulted in those tries being scored for Benetton relatively easily. And I will be back with you, of course, for the second half. So don't go anywhere. And be sure to like the video. Leave some comments for me about what you thought about that first half. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Otherwise, also consider joining the membership program. And I will see you after the break. Cheers. Everyone, and we are back for the second half of Benetton versus Lions. We've just kicked off, and Benetton received the ball and kicked it back to the Lions, and it's been a rather poor kick, and it's been regathered by Horn, I believe it is, and now Lions are attacking in the midfield here. Nahamba now, there's an advantage to the Lions. Nahamba now chooses Alberts, who finds Crane Horn, who finds Rams McClane there, who tries to find the gap. He steps one, he steps two. He's trying to go through. He does very well there. Does eventually get taken down. Nahamba now finds Alberts, who finds John Lombard. Comes to the captain now. He's trying to find off a gap. He's not able to, unfortunately, but almost does very well there. And they go back for the penalty. I don't understand why we're going back for the penalty. I mean, a bit of a weird one. Nothing was stopping us from continuing that attack. Anyway, we'll let it slide, and we'll carry on going here. Yeah, and if you guys are joining me for the second half, welcome back. Got big hits from Nklabaganya there. We're just seeing here, yeah, the captain there, 4 Lions low there, going in very, very, very hard into that tackle. And they've opted to kick for points, the Lions. Yeah, so bit of a weird one. And the Nahamba purchase, we're just talking about it now. The Nahamba purchase for the Lions is arguably one of the best decisions they've made in years. He's been a proper good find for the Lions. A really, really good player. Very versatile as well, of course, playing scrum half, but also doing a lot of the kicking. And again, he's just proving it there. Goes and puts it over for the extra 3 points. And yeah, certainly one of the standout players for the Lions at the moment. So yeah, doing very well to have found that sort of player. But it's about the only decent purchase the Lions have made for a while in terms of named players. And they're saying Donal there and saying Lions must score next. Well, they did just score the 3 points now, but they need to score the next try. I think I'd just certainly agree with you in that point. They do need to score the next try. And yeah, if anybody else is watching here, do let me know your thoughts of the game. Big hit there from Fenter as he receives the ball there. And Benetton is, Benetton player there is a little bit out and down and out. He is back onto his feet now, but he's feeling that certainly. Nahamba now shredding the ball across your Lions, choosing to run from within their own half here. Spreads out. They've got space for Rams McClane now. He's unfortunately taken out just in about the halfway line. But almost brilliant piece of play there from the Lions. Rams McClane there running all the way up. And then unfortunately gets tackled just before he could pass the ball back infield. And he gets tackled out, of course. So it will be a line out to the to Benetton now. Just in front of the halfway line. It's just inside the Lions half. Ball goes in from Benetton. Shifts it back. It's a very flat ball to the centres. They seem to find so much space, Benetton, in this game so far. And again, they're finding some more space here to run through. And they're getting through the Lions defence a little bit. They're really rushing them in terms of trying to spread this ball quickly. Lions sometimes not always alert to it. Lions now trying to get over this ball, not able to, and they're still now just having to do some defending here. Benetton now finding some more space here. Ball comes out. Nahamba does very well to rush out and make the tackle. Benetton still with the ball here. Lots of space out on the wing, but not able to find him. Still keeping it in the midfield. Then Alberts with the tackle. Benetton now moving forward, still not able to get past the Lions' 10-meter line as of yet. But, there, because a little bit of a spill in the tackle, and Lions can try and counter-attack as a result of it. Still with Benetton, though, the ball. But they've now drawn them all the way back to the halfway line, although I say that, and then Benetton now dance their way back to about the 10-meter line. Passing out wide and trying to find space. Great tackle from Low there. The ball has come out, I think, illegally. As Master, the ref does call a penalty. I don't quite know what he's trying to argue there. Looks he hooks it back in the ruck there, so very much not allowed. So it does a penalty to Benetton. Benetton will now kick for the line. So there's now going to be a line out to Benetton, well inside the line's half, just under about the 22-meter line. The ball gets put in. It's cleanly taken from Benetton. They set up the maul, which has been very effective for them today. And it is now, again, moving forward quite quickly. The Lions are unable to stop it as of yet. Still going forward successfully, but the ball does come out. They find a gap, but Lions do well just to cover it there. And now Duvenaga passes it out to his troops. Of course, Duvenaga playing for Benetton. Benetton's captain. Now the ball goes out wide for Benetton. Bit of broken play here. Can the Lions try and stop them before it gets there? Does very well there to roll away Manuel Vass after that tackle. And Smith tries to go over, unable to go over as of yet. Benetton still trying to break this Lions defensive line, but a huge tackle from Chituka and Marius Lowe, who push them back behind the 22-meter line. So Lions doing well just to get a little bit of a defensive hit on Benetton. Benetton now, however, with quite a few numbers on the wing, but a great tackle from Russ there. And Benetton really struggling and getting further back now. Lions doing very well to basically turn defense into attack. And it's now been... Oh, the ref then penalizes the Lions, but Benetton have taken it quickly, and Lions do eventually make the tackle. It's about 15 meters out, and the ball comes back to Benetton. They've got a man out wide available, but doesn't choose to go for him, and he's running up the midfield just outside the 5-meter line now. Benetton stopped. They formed their ruck, and they're now passing it in through the phases. They're slowing it down now, Benetton. They're getting close to the Lions line again. Benetton shifting this ball quickly now, trying to find the gap. The gap that presents itself with the Lions just as quickly to close it. The ball comes out here. They're playing an advantage now. Benetton with the advantage. Lions offsides. Been called by the assistant referee and attempted. And it's going to be a yellow card to Nahamba now. For an attempted, he tried to get the intercept, but it's been deemed a deliberate knock-on. That's very harsh. Now Lions are down to 14 men. The last thing they needed when you're currently 21 points down to 13. 21 to 13. This is a very, very harsh yellow card, I feel. Walter, they're saying the Lions tight head. What an absolute unit. Yes, that's in Klabakanya. And he's a real proper unit, that. And a lot of people keep shooting him. He's fat, but no, he's actually a really good player. And gets around the park very quickly as well. Again, so this refereeing has been very suspect today. I'm just commenting on it now. Just commenting on the fact that, you know, this all comes from the penalty being given to Benetton after the Lions turned the ball over. And it's very harsh, as they're saying, with regards to actually awarding Benetton that penalty, because it was legitimately stolen and then he was brought back down. He was pulled with the ball forward, so he lost his footing, but he had the ball in hand as a result. So it's a clean turnover, but Lions get penalised for it. And the ref has not been a very friendly man with the Lions team today, so Lions are not going to get any favours, and are certainly with a yellow card now having to defend this maul that Benetton have now just set up. And the maul has been working so well for them. They're getting driven towards the touchline here. They have to drive it infield, and it's almost lost them. And Kabakanya wraps him up, and it's going to be a maul penalty. I'm sure the Lions have picked this ball up, and it's not moving anywhere. The ref does call it. Great work there from the Lions unit. And Klabakanya there comes out with the ball in hand as well. Great work from the big man. And yeah, it will be a scrum to the Lions. However, they don't have a scrum half on the field now, unfortunately. So it's going to be, I imagine, Edward van der Merwe will act as a scrum half. Yeah, he will. Edward van der Merwe is acting as scrum half for the Lions. So he's going to have a lot of work to do now, whilst Nahamba sits out getting his 10-minute sin bin. I suppose I should update that, shouldn't I? Let me just go to my studio quickly. And we've got a card for the Lions. Let's not show all of them, shall we? Yellow card. We are going to see that. I think that's what we're supposed to see. Let us see a yellow card on the Lions side. Indeed, there you go. Look at that. Sorry about that. And should be back now. Just looking here. I'm just going to get that yellow card showing on the right-hand side. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Perfect. So it will be a scrum to the Lions now. They're just setting it up currently. It's taking a while to set up for some reason. Oh, no. Benetton do not have a yellow card. Let's take that away. There we go. We are all accurate here. We are all fine. And yeah, Lions do have a yellow card. It is not showing. Yeah, so Edward van der Merwe trying to find the ball at the back of the scrum. Not able to. The scrum's going to be reset. A lot of the pitch has been torn up there. I think they're going to have to move a little bit further infield here. I think the ref's calling them to go further across. The whole field just ripped up underneath the pressure of the scrum. Yeah, indeed it did. So they're going to move further infield. And have another scrum now for the Lions on their own line, of course. And Walter, they're saying, yeah, Frank is a terrible ref. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the standard of reffing in the URC is really, really poor, if I'm honest. Like, it's really not been great since the formation of the league. Of course, the second season of it. But I've still not been impressed with the standard of refereeing. And I don't mind a mistake every now and then, but like there's just permanent mistakes. And often teams will find themselves being favoured against. It's not usually very impartial, the refs. They do seem to find a favourite very early on. So not been impressed with the refereeing in the URC. And I'm really hoping that's something that's going to change in the coming seasons, because that's something that desperately does need to change. Here, we've got a couple of comments here. So KB here saying Frank Murphy doesn't know the laws. He is costing Lions here. Yes, indeed. Very poor. Yeah. And yeah, as Walter said, also what a hold up there from Kabakanya. There, as I said, doing very well today. And he did myself a big favour when I was giving him high praise. He went and then got a turnover and a result in the Lions getting some points on the board. So did at the same time. So I do appreciate his work and helping me. So when I go and praise him, he goes and just justifies it. So very much thankful to him for that. Now he's going to have to put a big scrum in here. The Lions are putting a scrum in. They are getting a bit of go forward. And as a penalty to the Lions. Yes, indeed. Well done to the Lions. They're getting the penalty, scrum penalty. They have been the more dominant scrum today, but the scrums have not really been moving all that much. So Lions doing well to finally get that scrum penalty in their favour and try and exit here. And also, crucially, wasting quite a bit of time on Nahamba's yellow card, of course. So Lions can now exit here. It's going to be Quain Horn with the ball in hand. He is left-footed, of course, so this will be helpful as he goes for the touchline here. Can you try and get as far forward as possible? It's looking like a all-right kick. It's going to be around about the 10-meter line. Yeah, it will be a 10-meter, just in front of the 10-meter line in the Lions half. So an all-right exit there because it didn't have much angle to work with. So now the Lions with a line out to come here. PJ Botha has to put it in. That's the first challenge of many, of course, is being able to make sure that they can actually win the line out with a PJ Botha throw in. And he does throw the ball in. They do win it. So the maul is set up from the Lions. I haven't seen much of the maul today from the Lions. It is moving forward quite rapidly, though, to be fair to them. It has now stopped, unfortunately. Tuka has to pass it back to Fenter, who's now running with great guts. And he moves forward. Great work there from the loose forward. Now picked up by Willem Alberts at the back of the ruck. He's a little bit isolated, but Lions do very well to get over and support him there. Chatuka with the ball now in hand. They did very well there. Benetton to rush up quickly and to stop him. And now comes to Russ, I believe, in the midfield trying to form something, not able to. I've always found Russ a little bit small, so we'll be interested to see how his future at the Lions continues. Edward van der Merwe now acting as scrum half, passes through to Quain Horn, who sees a big gap and he tries to go for it. It does get closed down, unfortunately. And Klabakanya, they're doing very well to I love it from Klabakanya there. Holds the Benetton player in after the tackle so that he's not rolling away. And Lions do, as a result, win the penalty for not rolling away. Very dirty to play there from Klabakanya, but very clever as well. And he's played very, very well so far. He's certainly up there as my man of the match. Between him and Quain Horn, I think those two are certainly putting their hands up for man of the match, for the Lions at least. However, the Lions do, of course, find themselves behind. And they do need to try and go and score the next try. Jennifer here saying hello. Hello, Jennifer. How are you? Hope you're very well. Lions now making no, not making a sub, but just making the kick here from Quain Horn. It's a shocking kick, my word. Klabakanya, you're definitely getting the man of the match. Shocking kick from Quain Horn. Not even anywhere near the line. And as a result, Lions are going to have a line out all the way back, pretty much where they won the penalty, because Benetton received the ball and kicked it straight back. So yeah, really, really, really poor kick there from Quain Horn, and so crucial they had to get that kick out and probably create a bit of an attacking opportunity for the Lions. But now they're all the way back in their own half and have to build it up again. Clinton here saying, why does Benetton have a star on their logo? Did they win championship before? They did, yes. Well, not the URC, funny enough, but they won the, I think it was the Rainbow Cup. This was the one that they had in between. They beat the Bulls, of course. It was the one where they had the changeover from the top 14. Then they had like that mini league where they more or less had like the South African teams and them. And then they had the URC form after that. And unfortunately, Lions, after their maul there, have been penalized the free kick. I think it's for changing angles by mistake. I think it was. I think it's a harsh decision from the ref, but I think it's just going to be a scrum to Benetton. Yeah, it is a scrum to Benetton. So you will see what happens there. Still a yellow card, of course, for the Lions in Nahamba, unfortunately sitting out there. I still think it was a harsh yellow card, but nonetheless. Jennifer here is saying goeiemiddag again. So you said hello and you're saying goeiemiddag now, so I think you're chatting amongst the comments there as well. So anyway, you guys be sure to go and say hello to each other as well. And the scrum is about to get underway. Juvanaga has gone off for Benetton. He's been quite good today, the South African. And he finds his way off, and now it's the replacement scrum half on. Lions getting a huge hit on this scrum, and they're going to win the scrum penalty. I think, no, the ref has called it back. I don't understand why he's not called the scrum there. There's obvious pressure from the Lions pushing Benetton back, and somehow decides that that it's gone up rather than a penalty to the Lions. I think that's, again, very harsh refereeing, because the Lions got all the go forward there. Benetton were just succumbing to the power of the Lions. Then Klabakanya and Smith doing very well on either side to get that scrum dominance there. Very surprised that's not a penalty to the Lions. And yeah, Benetton noticing the fact that their props and their front row is starting to lose out this Lions pack, and they're now going to make changes soon. You can see the front row, the spare front row on the bench, being ready to come on. Benetton now with the scrum, and he's going to try and shift us through the scrum as quickly as possible, the scrum half. And Lions do get a little bit more purchase again, but it's not quite enough as they need. And Benetton do take it out of the scrum. They've got a big gap, of course, with that yellow card. They're now going to try and defend each other, Lions. It's a long-reaching throw, but unfortunately had to go down to collect it, Benetton there, but still find themselves in the Lions 22, and Lions now got a penalty advantage against them. Benetton now with an advantage in their favour, running it through. They spread it out as quickly as possible to the wing. There's huge space here, and the tackle is eventually made by, I think, Russ. Still inside the Lions 22, about 10 metres away from the try line. Lions going to have to desperately hold on here. New advantage against Lions, so Lions might well be in danger of getting another yellow card. This ref is being very, very harsh, and the ball is going to be spread out here by Benetton, but Quain Horn does well to cut off the defence, cut off the attack there for Benetton. A great tackle there by Klabakanya, allowing Fenter to get over, to turn over, but as a result, of course, of that advantage, they will come back to that penalty. Great tackle by Klabakanya and good turnover from Fenter to stop the attack there, but they will come back for that penalty. Just inside the 22 on the far side. Yeah. And comment here from Langford Cullum saying the Lions must keep their composure and maybe they could clinch this game. Benetton are a French team, aren't they? No, they're Italian. They are Italian. There are no French sides in the URC. The URC is made up of Italians, Irish, Welsh, Scottish, and South African. So basically everybody outside of the everybody outside England and France, basically in Europe. So those are the 3 leagues that we have. We have the URC, we have top 14. I think it is not top 14. The French one, whatever they're called. Is it top 14? No, it's not top 14. That's what we replaced. Anyway, there's the French league and then there's the English league, of course. So yeah, Nahamba is now back on. So Lions did not concede any points as a result of that yellow card. So did well there to defend. And we do see some changes for the Lions. And oh my word, easy as anything. Benetton score the try. Lions completely asleep at the line out, completely asleep. And Benetton get their 4th try of the game. I don't even know what happened. It was so quick. It was just like, oh, okay. I mean, bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. It was a short line-out move, and Lions were not aware to it at all. Passed into the player, passes into the guy behind him for that gap, and he just runs straight in. As easy as anything. Just a textbook line-out move. Lions did not see it at all. Very easy try for Benetton. And they really are taking this game away from the Lions. Lions desperately need to score the next try. And they need to score it quickly as well. We are on 60 minutes, of course. We've only got 20 minutes left for the Lions to score what would probably be 2 to 3 times. It's quite crucial now that Benetton need to miss this kick for the Lions. If they miss it, of course, the Lions can go into the lead if they score 2 tries. However, if he gets it over, then Benetton will remain in the lead regardless of Lions scoring 2 tries, which means Lions need 3 scores to go ahead. So this is a very, very crucial kick here for Benetton. So Lions need to try and put him off. And he's going to kick. His kicking's been good today. And I think he's happy again. Indeed, he is happy again. So it's going to be a 3... it's going to have to be 3 scores for the Lions to get ahead of Benetton. So lots of work to do for the Lions. So great kick there. He's been very good with the kicking boots today. And yet again converts. So it'll be 28 points to 13. Benetton 28 points. Jacob Umaga, of course, the kicker there, converting again. 4th try of the day. Lions needing to do lots of work here. But they have made some subs. And let's see how the new players do on the field now. And it's a deep kick here. Can the Lions respond? And they take it down in the 22, Benetton. And they will look to exit, I'm sure. Now, they've made those changes. The new front row is on. The only good thing is maybe perhaps Lions' bench is probably stronger than that of Benetton. So can the Lions try and do well here? That's very well gathered there by Gianni Lombard in the midfield after that kick. And Lions now do have the ball inside Benetton's half, but only just. And Edward van der Merwe now receives it in midfield. He tries to find a gap. He fends off 1. He fends off 2. And he goes through the gap. It's a brilliant piece of play from him. He fends off, tries to fend off a 3rd. Not able to. And PJ Burton now picks up the ball. He runs himself. He fends off 1 as well. And now he's running forward. He's done quite well there as well. Nahamba now back on the field, of course. He passes it infield. Lions doing very well in the attack here. Spreading it through the back line. They've got huge numbers out wide. It comes to the captain, Marius Lowe. He passes it back to Chituka. He's running for the corner. He's going to get there. He goes over. Great try for the Lions. Brilliant, 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 brilliant try. Absolutely brilliantly well worked. All started with Edward van der Merwe managing to fend off not just 1, but 2 players in that entire build-up. And then carried on going. Then well picked up from PJ Burton to keep the momentum going. And he makes about 7 or 8 meters by himself as well. The ruck is then set up from him. And there's a great piece of work from the backline to shift it as quickly as possible out wide. Marius Lowe breaks through 2 tackles, passes it to Chituka, and he runs the final 10 meters and gets over in the corner. Great try for the Lions, and hopefully that's the start of the comeback. And it's very important, of course, that they are the next one to score again. They cannot concede any more points to this Benetton side. Otherwise, I'm sure that game is going to be looking even more difficult. Langford saying tries needed, time is running out. Now a full team. So yeah, Lions are at full contingent now. And yeah, Nahamba now with a kick. It's quite crucial that he gets this kick over just to put that game ever so closer for the Lions to try and pip right at the end. We've got 17 minutes left here. Nahamba with the kick. He's also been kicking very well today. And it's going to fade away, unfortunately. It's just faded outside the thing, so he does not convert there. So it'll remain 28 points to 18. So Lions will still need 2 scores to get ahead of Benetton. That wouldn't have changed either way, but it now does mean that they're going to have to score a try and then another try in order to go ahead. Otherwise, they can only draw if they get a try and a penalty conversion over. So lots of work still for the Lions to do. Still 2 tries to get, but at least a great start, and showing the fact that the bench seemingly looking a little bit brightly, and Benetton not able to deal with that attack. It was a best piece of play of rugby I've seen all day, and it took the Lions 60 minutes to get this. So the restart is taken from Benetton. It's received from Fenter, unfortunately outside the 22. So it is carried back. So now Lions can't kick it straight out. So he passes it infield. And it comes to Marius Lowe. He's trying to run it out the midfield. Crane Horn spots a gap. He tries to run it out. He spins off one. He's now passed out to Manny Russ, who finds, oh my word, we're motoring over here with Frankie Horn, I think it is. Oh my word, Lions are coming forward still. He's going to keep going the whole time. He's not going to stop. Eventually comes to Russ by trying there, and they score the next try in 2 minutes. My word. Brilliant piece of play from the Lions. Absolutely brilliant. Running it out from within their own 22. And you've got to question, where's this been? But I mean, talk about the run from Frankie Horn. I think it was Frankie Horn at least, but talk about the run. My word, he ran himself from pretty much the 20, not quite the 22, but from just before the 10-meter line, almost all the way to the try line, just watching it here. Brilliant run. It's not Frankie Horn, I don't think. I just want to confirm who it is. See the red scrum cap. I just want to see who it is. I mean, brilliant piece of play from the Lions again. Oh, my word, the dummy as well. Oh, it's great play. Lions right back in it, and now just behind Benetton, with a conversion to come, of course, but could be within 3 points in just a matter of a couple of minutes. Fantastic work from the Lions. This new set of fresh legs off the bench, certainly putting the pressure on Benetton now. Nahamba now with the kick to come. Can he convert this over so that they're within 3 points, the Lions? Benetton really collapsing right now, and they're going to have to be very careful as to not to concede another. Nahamba kicks it, he turns, which means he's happy, and the flags are up. It is 28 points to 25. Lions right back into this game. What a turnaround from the Lions. What a turnaround. But I mean, taken far too long. But nonetheless, eventually they are finally playing some rugby. So Benetton now going to have to try and restart here. And hopefully the Lions can try and score another try very quickly. Rasmus Kleine there with the try, very well supporting his players there in the wing. And Benetton do put a deep restart in. And Fenter collects yet again, passes infield, and it's immediately kicked from Nahamba. Not even waiting for the ruck to be formed, and it does go out about the halfway line. So good kick there. Lions exit very well. That's always good because Lions love to concede very early after they've scored. So good to exit early as well. It's not quite to the halfway line, still within the Lions' half, about the 10-meter line, but still should be fine for them to defend. Longford here saying, come on Lions, another try and conversion should be fine. Yes, indeed, Lions fighting back here very, very nicely, and hopefully they can get the next one. They steal the line out. All of the things are going in Lions' favour now. Nahamba takes it out quickly. PJ Burton now runs up the midfield. Yeah, he does get taken down, unfortunately. Nonetheless, Nahamba now spreads it out wide to his players. They've opted for a kick in behind. Johnny Lombard spots space in the 22. The ball's going to roll over the try line. Is it going to go the full way? It is going to stop, luckily. So it will be a 22-meter dropout, I believe. Yeah. Or was it a 5-meter dropout? No, it's a 5-meter dropout these days, I think it is. Yeah, it's a goal line dropout. So Benetton are going to have to exit here, and that will be in favour of the Lions, to be fair. So 13 minutes left for the Lions to score another try to get ahead. So come on, boys. Doing very well to fight back eventually. Benetton do take the kick from their line. It's not a very big kick, and the Lions receive it just outside their 22. So, I mean, a bit odd from Benetton there. They just didn't take themselves out of pressure there. And Lions right back on them, just outside the 22. Nahamba dictating play. And we've got Marius Lowe coming forward here, the captain. And he passes it back to Nahamba, who passes it back to PJ Buerto, who's also been in the thick of it recently. Nahamba now collecting from the back of that ruck. Passes to Crane Horn, who passes to Marius Lowe, who fends off one. Great little piece of play there. And Nahamba now passing through to the forwards. And yeah, doing very well to get forward here. Advantage to the Lions now, not releasing the tackler now. So Lions have an advantage inside the 22. Passes to Chituka, who now tries to drive himself back into the 22. Not able to, but Nahamba now still fielding this ball and will try to dictate play. Goes the blind side, but it's immediately switched back. And now Crane Horn spots a gap. That's not Crane Horn, it's Marty Russ who spots it. He passes in field. It comes eventually to Chituka. He's going to go over for the second. Lions do put themselves into the lead. Again, great play from the Lions. And very similarly in the first half, Benetton scored a try very similarly to this, where they just suddenly spotted a gap after running sideways. And that's exactly what Russ did there. Russ received the ball and just ran sideways until there was a big gap. And he took it, ran through the middle, passed it back to Fenter, who then found Chituka, who goes over for his second of the game. A great piece of play from Russ to go and find that gap. Great shimmy, and then eventually finds, not Fenter, sorry. Can't quite see who it is, but the black scrum cap there, I'll find out now. And then Chituka there goes over. Fantastic try for the Lions. Now they do finally put themselves in the lead with a bonus point as well. So very good from the Lions. Superb broken play. It's like watching New Zealand. Langford here saying again, are you doing the Sharks game commentary? I am. I will be here for the Sharks game later. So looking forward to having you all back here for that Sharks game, I'm sure. Nahamba does convert. Lions now with 32 points to Benetton's 28. So Benetton have to score a try to go ahead of them, or otherwise two penalties going over. So now Lions finally find themselves in the lead. And big collapse from Benetton to have let 3 tries get scored in about 8 minutes' time. In 8 minutes, 21 points have been, not 21 points, 19 points have been scored by the Lions. So fantastic work from them to finally come back into this game. We said that needed a big push in the second half, and the big push they have given. So be sure to go and like the video as well to give our channel a bit of a push as well. And Lions receive the ball from the restart just outside the 22. Nahamba now fielding here, going to try and find his forwards. I'm sure they're just going to try and set up a better ruck inside the 22. Goes down. He will have the safety of the security of the 22 now. Nahamba will likely box kick, or at least find Johnny Lombard, who will kick it out. Looks like it's going to be a box kick from Nahamba here. He does receive. The ball is kicked forward, and it will go out. Rabs McLean there doing very well to chase. And it's not the greatest kick, if I'm honest. It's still not even to the 10-meter line in the Lions half. But Lions have been doing very well in terms of stealing the ball from Benetton. Benetton have got very little possession recently. And James, they're saying, come on, you Lions. Indeed, come on, you Lions. Finally coming back in this game. And a little bit of rain is now starting to fall. It's a bit of a, the phrase, a monkey's wedding. The rain falling with the sunshine still there. And as I say, that Lions do indeed turn the ball over, as I did think they might well be able to. The Benetton bench has been shocking since they've come on. They came onto the field, most of the players, about 4 or 5 subs they made at once. And since they've conceded 3 tries, they've lost 2 lineouts. Lions are just all over them right now. Nahamba kicks the ball forward. Rabs Mokane there is chasing. It is going to go straight out though, so not a great kick from Nahamba. And they're going to come back. And I think that's a little bit of commentator's curse, because I was giving all the praise to the Lions, and now unfortunately the ball has come all the way back inside the Lions half, and now they're going to have to do some defending. But maybe they turn over the ball again, because it's from the exact same spot. So let's see. And the referee now talking to Benetton, saying they need to hurry up here, because they are taking a little while to get going here. But I mean, what a collapse from Benetton, and what a comeback from the Lions in just about 10 minutes, from 60 minutes. And almost stolen there from the Lions again, but not able to. Benetton do form the maul. And the maul is going backwards quite quickly. They're not going forward at all. They're going to need to use it here. The ref has told them to use. They take it out. And Benetton folding a little bit under this pressure. Finding a little bit of a gap now, though, but Lions doing well to close it just as quickly. And they try to spread it quickly again. Great tackle there from Edward van der Merwe, I believe it is. And there's a turnover to the Lions. Fantastic from the Lions. All the things are favouring the Lions at the moment. All of the momentum is heading in the Lions' direction. The ref has finally come to realise that as well, and is now rewarding them as well. Great turnover there from, I believe, who is that? Is that Russ? I think it is. Great turnover there. And Lions now has an opportunity to kick for the line and hopefully score another try in this game and put themselves even further ahead just to confirm the victory with just about 7 minutes left to go. Langfordshire saying Lions are doing well. They must keep pushing. They definitely are the better team at the minute. The ref has lost his way. Yeah, indeed. So Nahamba kicks for the line. Yeah, it's a good kick. And hopefully the Lions can try and call something from this. It's a very good kick. It's right up into the 22-meter line. And the Lions should hopefully try and find a way through and get over for another try of the day. And that should hopefully seal the victory. Just need to get this line out sorted. They do eventually get it sorted. It was quite complicated, but the maul is set and the maul is motoring forward. My word, they've already made about 5 meters, and they're approaching on 8 meters. The maul is looking very iffy now. It's still gone forward, and it's a penalty to huh? I don't understand how that happens. Benetton get the penalty. I don't know why, if I'm quite honest. The maul sort of dissipates, and Benetton find themselves on the other side. No, from the side there. I think Lions entry from the side. Benetton now kick for the line. It's a great kick from Benetton as well. And they're right back into the Lions half, just about their 10-meter line. So 6 minutes left. Can the Lions hold on, or can the Lions try and steal this again and get that last try just to secure the victory? Don't go anywhere. We are right at the end of this this URC clash here in Italy. It took ages for the Lions to wake up, but eventually they did. So Benetton now with the line out. Will the Lions try and steal it? It's not quite a clean line out from Benetton. Wasn't what they'd hoped for, but they still do have the ball in hand. It's now spreading it across the line, and they're now trying to grab it in behind. There's space, but the kick is far too far, and it's gone out already, just inside the Lions 22. It will be a Lions throw-in, a line out. So Lions should hopefully exit from here. James here saying, come on the Lions. And Brent here, Brent Cramford, saying, are they in the Lions 10-meter line? I think that's a little dig. They were, at least, anyway. They were within the 22-meter line now. Inside the 22-meter line. The Lions here trying to get this line out. One, they did win it. And not skew, apparently. I thought it was a little bit skew. And Lions, again, trying to exit from within the 22, but Crane Horn eventually does opt to kick. And it doesn't go out, unfortunately. Brent is saying, I'm not watching the game. It's not a dig. Okay, no problem. Sorry. I keep saying the 10-meter. I keep saying where they are in the field. So sometimes I feel like I say it too much. So. And the ball is gone out from Benetton. They've passed it straight out. Just about the halfway line. So not good play from Benetton. And their hooker has really been quite abysmal since coming on. So Lions now with the line out. They're wasting a little bit of time here. Ref is calling them to hurry up, and he's not wrong, to be fair. The Lions are wasting a little bit of time here. Just about 4 minutes left of this game. And yeah, Lions currently find themselves in the lead, 32 points to 28. And if they just win this line out and hopefully get forward, they do win the line out. They don't set up the maul. They spread it out to Nahamba, who finds Johnny Lombard, who, oh my word, the Lions completely stuff up. They went way too flat with their running. And now it's going to be a counter-attack from Benetton. They've got a number out wing here. They've grabbed it forward. Nahamba is chasing. Nahamba's going to let the ball go out, I think. And I think they will have to go back from where it was grabbed. Bench is saying, lol, now I see you and a fellow United fan, my G. Yes, indeed. Manchester United is my team in football. And Lions are my team in rugby. And yeah, the ball did go straight out, so it should be a scrum, I believe, to the Lions. Just outside their 22-meter line, close to the touchline here. And yeah, Nahamba didn't touch this ball just before it went out, so he's lucky there because he actually looked like he was going for it. Willem Alberts put in a very good shift today. I haven't seen a shift like this from Willem Alberts in ages. And he does go off in the 77th minute here. Did a very, very good job there out in the field. Make a lot of tackles and being quite good in defense. He's a little old these days, Willem Alberts, but still the bone crusher. Massive. And a scrum here to the Lions. Now, the Lions scrum has been very good all day. And I'm sure, hopefully, this should be another example of that. And maybe win the penalty, of course. It is a Lions scrum. Although it is a new front row. I don't think they've actually had a scrum yet since coming on. So we will see what happens here. And they're going to waste a little bit more time. So just about 2 minutes left of this game. Can the Lions hold on? The scrum is being set up now. Set. And the scrum is gone. And it's a big hit from the Lions. They are starting to move forward, but the ground is shaking up underneath them. And I think we're going to have to just reset that scrum because the entire grass just capitulated completely underneath all of them. You just suddenly saw all the players dive forward as the grass just gave way there. So they're going to move the scrum further infield here and have another attempt. Lions seem to be getting the better go forward in that scrum, so We'll see if that equates again. Just under 2 minutes here for the Lions. Can they hold on and get victory from the jaws of defeat? Because, I mean, my word, they were really nowhere for a good while in this game. And then suddenly come about 61 minutes into the game. Suddenly just scored 3 tries like that. It was as quick as anything. Scrum is set. Lions are holding strong here. Benetton trying to come back at them, but the scrum is not moving. Ball does come out from the Humber. And now Lions shifting the line. Comes to Crane Horn, who's close to the wing. He passes it out to Edward van der Merwe, who knocks it on. And he's given possession, but just knocked on as well from Benetton. So the first knock on from Edward van der Merwe. Very poor there. He should have taken that. And it will be a scrum to Benetton now with just under a minute left. So now Lions are going to have to do some defending unless they can win the scrum. And Marcus here saying, is Jonker on? A good question. I think he might well be. Let's go find out, shall we? Is Jonker on? Yes. No. Maybe yes. No. I don't know. I don't think he is. I don't recall seeing him come on. That's my thing. So we'll assume not. I don't think he's come on. But a scrum now to Benetton right at the end of this game. This will pretty much be the last piece of play. Just 20 seconds left and the scrum is still not even taken place yet. We are going to see the last bit of play in this game. Can the Lions hold on? Can they win the scrum here? Or can they defend from the scrum after this? It's going to be desperate defense here for the Lions. It's a huge scrum here for both teams. And there's just 5 seconds left. Lions with a massive hit, but not able to get through in time to win the penalty. Nahamba makes the tackle. No, he doesn't. He's shifted past over here. It's Stowers who's come forward. Now Benetton are tracking the Lions line. They're on the 22-meter line. Can the Lions hold on? It's desperate defense required. They cannot give away an advantage as well. Benetton still with the ball in hand. Lions trying to get over. And the tackle is made eventually. Just on the Lions 22 here. Benetton, they found a little bit of space. Oh my word, and the tackle has been made. The ball has been lost further back, but now they're coming back, Benetton, and they're trying to find a gap infield, but it's been knocked on, and that will be the end of the game. Lions do survive. Lions do win the game in Italy. Very well done to come back there, the Lions, and they do win the game right at the end, and they do stop Benetton from scoring. Benetton really capitulated after 60 minutes, and Lions just took advantage and managed to put themselves in the lead. They probably could have scored a fifth, Lions in the second half, but not able to. But great comeback from the Lions, but they needed to because, my word, it was a little bit close in the end there. It shouldn't have been that close. Lions should have won that game quite easily. Just going back to the comments here. Langfordshire, Lions must defend all they can. It's a win, yippee. Yes, indeed. Naomi here saying, huge roar for the Lions from Naomi in Portugal. Hang in, Lions. Oh, hello, Naomi from Portugal. Nice to have you here. And you did win, indeed. We did manage to hang on. So the Lions did win. Great game there. Good game, says Marcus. And indeed, it was a great game. And thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like the video and also subscribe to the channel for more content. Of course, I'm going to be back later to do the Sharks game as well. They're playing against the Scarlets. I think they're also in the north as well. So not even at the Shark Tank, I don't think. So be sure to join me for that game as well. We're looking forward to it. And I'm sure I'll see you all there. And yeah, I've been Mark on Forever Sports as well. And don't go anywhere else, of course, for your rugby action and for rugby watch-alongs, of course. You are right in the best spot possible. And I'm sure I will see you all soon again. So thank you guys so much again for watching. I will see you in a bit. Bye, everybody. Just one more comment here saying, Walter saying, great game for the neutral at the end there. Glad I caught the end of it. Yes, indeed. Great game for the neutral indeed. Right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.